You didn't count
Everyone, welcome to Ronin's Den. If you are new here, we are glad to have you here. Tara has brought many people to watch this stream, and that is amazing. I am Steve, also known as the Dragon X on TikTok. I am the co-host of the Ronin's Den podcast. I am also here with my co-host Eric, GM Duality Complex on TikTok as well. As stated, we have Tara, who most of you already know. We are joined by Spike, who is Spike the comedian, and Anthony, who's I don't know if you have a TikTok or not, Anthony, but I'm introducing you as well. Tara, why don't you introduce yourself real quick and let us know a little bit about you?
Can do. I don't know if I should do this, but the chat is full of them. So submitting for the approval of the Midnight Society. Hi, it's me again. I'm Mama Tara. I'm part of Sword and Sorcery Cosplay. It's my husband and I. We are retro-focused cosplayers. It's basically all that we do. I am a retro-focused streamer. I got into gaming via ROM. As you can tell by the name Mama Tara, I kind of got big for Final Fantasy VI cosplay. It's not as cool as it sounds, I promise. It just looks a little bit like Insanity. But yeah, other than that, there's not much to know. I'm new to Fabula Ultima. I've only played one game so far, and it was pre-generated characters, but I left it, so I'm excited to learn more.
Beautiful. Anthony, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Anthony, or Harp Draws, Harp_draws on TikTok and Instagram. You can find me at aharp15, most likely. I'm not big enough to just have that pop up in the search bar. But I like to say a forever sub player. You can sub me in, coach, if you need a player in your game. I DM, I do animation and different graphic artistry.
Beautiful. Spike, introduce yourself, please.
Hey, I'm Spike the Comedian. I like to think I'm funny on Spike the Comedian literally everywhere. Also, typically a forever DM where I DM the Misfiteers on Sunday. TikTok goes to a sill with GM Duality Complex on Tuesdays. And TikTok goes to a sill with a bunch of the Retro Gamer Boys on Saturdays. We stream on SebiG13's channel. Known for fun times and breaking hearts. So, looking forward to being a player this time. It's Atlas's Scarlet Spear.
Yeah. So Tara, you said you've had one game of Fabula Ultima. Anthony, Spike, do you guys have any experience with Fabula Ultima?
0.
None at all.
Beautiful. I've only played.
And it looks very fun.
I've only played one shot as well, so we're gonna learn. I'm gonna hand it over to my co-host Eric, who will be running us through this session 0. Eric, take it away.
All right, so today is basically going to be our session 0 world building type stuff that we were hoping to get done. We're going to go through the system a little bit. We're going to figure out where we want to place our hometowns, any character questions we have left over, and then just some general like system info. So that's the plan for tonight. Oh,
Sorry. I think you posted a beautiful map for us.
Yes.
Is that anywhere else other than in our chat? Let me go see.
So on in the Foundry, because this is something else that we're gonna need to play around with just a little bit. There we go. Along the top,
all of
you
us
should
disappeared for some reason.
Yeah. All right, so that's something we'll have to work on moving forward. Figure that one out as well. World session 0.
Technical difficulties, everybody.
It's not really...
Oh, I'm so used to them. Spike.
What's up?
I love that one of your pronouns is dude, bro.
Oh, I thank you. I thought that was funny. I absolutely wanted to drop that in there.
I love it.
JPEG. Okay. Quickly just pop this one in. Select file.
It'll be on the Foundry, and then we'll be fine.
Yeah,
because then our faces will come back.
Hopefully, I can just do this. Pull the scene. pull the scene. Pull the scene. Can everybody see everything, or are you guys all darked out?
We are dark at the
dark.
moment.
Dark,
Configure,
yeah.
Yeah.
grid lighting.
Don't own any token with a vision.
What about now?
Oh, there we
Yes.
Hey.
Okay. Now, also, you should see along the top of the page, show and navigation, all players. Along the top row, you should see game info, world map, and then this one that says Jersia.
We do not see world map.
Oh, okay. Let's go ahead and do that. Configure. All players, show and navigation. Save change. Is it there now?
Correct.
Okay, so you
No,
should be...
incorrect. Incorrect. Sorry.
Weird.
Yeah, I only see Isaiah.
Okay, so let's go ahead and pull everybody over here.
Hey, world map came up.
Hey, there it is.
I think I might need to pull you into the scene once before you can freely click into them.
Also,
It is black though.
It's
I
black.
need a token.
This should not be. And save. Okay,
Hey.
There we go.
perfect. So yeah, this was the general little world map that I made, being super lazy, stealing the states of New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania to make a quick world map.
Works for me.
Yup. I initially started working on the Jersey one because I'm from New Jersey originally, and it just, you know, we're the most important state of the tri-state area. So that's where I started with the blank map. Can you see all the ones along the top now?
I sure can.
I'm in game info and Josiah.
Okay, so you should be.
Spike needs pulled over.
All right. Yeah, we'll pull Spike over.
Oh, when I go to
And
Jersea, it goes away.
What goes
Yeah.
away?
Same. The
World
world
map
map.
disappears when we click back onto Jersey.
Okay, I'll figure that out in post.
I think we just need to be on Jersey, right?
Yeah, pretty much anyway.
Okay.
All right. So first thing that I want to do.
Also,
is-
our faces are still not showing in the
yeah.
Twitch.
Okay.
Sorry, we're learning, everybody.
Yeah.
There we go.
it's-
Perfect.
I need more monitors is really what this boils down to. I only have 2. I need another.
Same.
Yeah, I have my work computer over here has 3 monitors plus the screen on the laptop itself, and I need a setup like that for my personal computer.
My third screen oftentimes is not enough, so I feel you. Some days you're just like, why? I just want to mount one above my main.
Must
Sorry,
add
everyone. My
more
little sister is
monitors.
calling me, so I need to check that real quick.
Go for it.
That's okay.
Everybody's going to shift around a little bit on the screen.
It's all good.
But we'll all shift back when
All good.
they turn back on. Okay. So one of the things that we do initially in the creation of a Fabula Ultima campaign world is everybody makes their characters, but they also have to choose where their home world is, what their backstory is, and then place it on the map somewhere. Your guys' faces are going to disappear again momentarily, but that's because I need to create a couple actors for each of you so we can place the place where you want your home towns to be. So
I see the fun little bugs flying around on the map.
yep, those are your mice.
Yep. That's us moving around.
I'm placed right there.
And just so everybody knows, I'm much more used to doing more like traditional games where I do all of the back end work and have all this stuff.
You're
all
evolving.
pre-recreate-
We get it.
Yeah, all pre-created. But yeah. Okay, so configure ownership. Observer. This one is going to be Anthony. Configure ownership. Observer. Anthony's going to own this one. owner, save. I will drag that one out onto the screen. And we're just going to give them a quick scene. Choose file, desktop, tokens. These don't really matter at the moment, but they are going to get that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm going to put them there.
Oh, he's drifting. He's running away.
I'm moving them. I'm going to give this one
For
to
some
Dragon.
reason, I see Anthony's actor.
You should.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, everyone. This is how session zeros go. They're usually slow and kind of boring. When we get to the actual playing, it's going to be a lot more interesting. Especially because, well,
I actually have a
Just
couple.
warn
you're
the
a
chat.
comedian.
I can
What?
see you, boys. Anyway, sorry.
These tokens are very inconsequential. They are really just going to be for placing your hometowns.
Oh. Where is my token?
Yours is coming up, right?
Okay.
Meow. I'm just picking random ones from my token bin.
Works for me.
Okay.
Don't let Terra pull Doma. I don't know what that means, but that is what Lee Crimson said.
It is a kingdom from Final Fantasy 3 or 6, depending on where you came into that whole game itself. I know it as Final Fantasy 3 because I played it on the Super Nintendo when I was a kid. But I do have it as
I knew it is 3, and then I found out it was 6, and I don't like being wrong, so I started calling it 6. It works.
I thrive on being wrong.
I mean, why not?
Okay.
So,
So,
all right.
you guys should be able to control those, I hope. Let me just double check. Identity, represented actor, Terra.
Whoa.
All
This
I
is
see is
not-
Anthony.
You don't see any of the tokens at the top?
I can't see the other ones, and I will be right back. That prior, well,
It is
the
not
surprise engagement is
Your
now,
ownership. All right.
and I will be right back.
Owner.
Beautiful.
Okay. Observer.
You're good,
I'm gonna
Anthony.
change these
Do what you
all
got to do.
Okay.
It
Hey,
is
I
not
see me
letting
now.
Scroll around. There we go.
Okay, so that's how that works. Observer, and then owner, and then configure ownership, observer, and owner, and then configure ownership,
I'm gonna have to figure out how to
observer,
make this.
and then owner. Save. Okay, you should all be able to control your tokens.
Hell yeah.
Okay. Should just be able to click and drag.
I click and I
Anthony
drag.
had an engagement. He'll or something he had to do at 9, so he'll be back shortly. He let us
Okay.
know about that in the chat. So he's gonna stay on this thing. Once he comes back, he'll pop in. So if you wanna move his, or I guess when he gets back, he can do that portion of the setup.
Yeah.
But
I'll just leave his.
so
there
explain
for now.
exactly what we're doing right now.
Okay, so everybody has their characters made, correct?
Everybody but Anthony. I think he was needing help with it.
Okay.
He's got the
I
idea.
I think Tara
I've not
hasn't made
rolled
hers yet.
anything.
You have not rolled anything.
Yeah.
Okay. So
No.
let's start
Sorry.
with No, that's all good. Let's start with that and then we'll move to this. So let's start with Tara.
I can make this slightly easier on you. Class is going to be Tinkerer backed up by Guardian with a bit of Elementalist to make Magitech armor
Okay.
work, I guess.
Do you have the character sheet?
Right there. I also
Perfect.
have one on the I have one online here.
Awesome. Okay. So just what do you need me to do to help you? Like everybody has different layers of the kind of help they want and expect. So how can I be of best help?
I've never actually rolled up a character in this, and I generally do need to be talked through things.
Okay.
If it is easier, I can do this off stream with my husband. He can walk me through it. I don't want to be like a wrench in the works if we can avoid it.
No,
No,
actually,
that's what session 0 is for.
exactly. And then I also like to have these as kind of like, you get to learn how to play the game as well through our streams and
Yeah.
our recordings. So let me grab over to that page, because honestly, the hardest part about making a character in Fabula Ultima is, and the thing that takes the most time, is picking what you want to do and be. After that, it's honestly a pretty quick process. It's the
I'm just
choice
an
paralysis. So you already have your character concept, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
So the first thing that you were going to want to do, in my opinion, would be to figure out if you want to be a jack of all trades, average, or specialized in your dice allowance.
What that means is you have a spread of dice for your 4 attributes. You can pick D8, 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 D10, D8, D8, D6, or D10, D10, D6, D6. Those are the 3 options.
D8s all the way down. We'll make it easy.
Okay.
All right, so on your...
Go on.
Go ahead. So on your character sheet where you have your attributes, it's going to say dexterity, insight, might, willpower. Just put D8 down the line. And I'll let Eric take it from here.
Yep.
I'm overstepping.
Got it.
That's
There we
okay.
go.
I got to put a chicken nugget in my mouth. I was quite happy at the moment.
Yes, radio is the reason that we have a Fabula Ultima book.
Okay.
See. Okay. D8s all the way down.
So
It's just turtles all the way down. Let's go.
the next thing I would do is mark your hit points and your mind points. That's pretty simple for you because you chose D8 for everything. So your hit points are your character's base might die. So that's 8 plus 5 times your character's your character's total level plus 5 times your total might base die. So 8 times 5 plus 5.
Okay, got it.
All
Forgive me, I
characters-
have this calculator, so
Oh, all good.
we're gonna just need time to grab a calculator. It's embarrassing, but 8 times 5 plus 5?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Got it. So HP 45.
45. Your mind
Now,
points are going to be 45 as well.
Perfect.
Your classes may add to that, so I would write them kind of lightly.
Yes.
Okay.
Might add to them. I don't know if they do or not. I think Guardian adds health.
Every class adds some health or some magic points.
Okay.
So underneath MP, you're going to see IP. You start with 6.
6?
Yep.
Yes.
So that stands for inventory points. This game doesn't care about micromanaging inventory in the least. So if you think you have something or, like random mundane items, you have them. What you use inventory points for is to pull out healing potions, mana potions, or like elemental bombs. No, rope. You just have rope. If you want rope, you have rope.
Oh, sweet.
Yep. It's
Man,
for,
I wish.
Yeah, it's for healing potions, mana potions, magic tents, which work exactly like they do in any Final Fantasy game or Chrono Trigger. You sleep in it, you go from 0 hit points with all your bad status effects all the way back up to full, and everything's perfect.
Magical.
And you're not still hungry at the end.
Nope. You're fully rested, but you are still hungry.
Magical hog tying,
Okay.
just in case the enemy decides to get away.
The next one I would do is just pencil in your current defenses. We are going to be playing with the most recent additional change to initiative. So initiative in the book, you can completely ignore that rule. It is not current and it was confusing. The new current way it's done, I'll explain when we get to playing the game. part of this session 0, but your current regular defense, or just defense, is your current dexterity die size. So that's always the maximum number you can roll on that die. In this case,
Okay.
it is 8.
Okay, and where is that? Let me see here. Defense, initiative modifier, and defense down here. You said 8?
It is currently 8,
Got it.
correct.
Perfect.
Magic defense is the same thing, but instead of using dexterity, it uses insight. However, you chose jack of all trades, so our math is going to be very easy.
I win.
Hey,
If people are not happy with their dice allowance by the end of this or the next session, like the full real session 1, we can change those dice out to be what we really want them to be. So I give like a 2-session wiggle room on changing stuff around.
Right
do
on.
we want to pause and get Anthony caught up to Tara in the character creation?
Yeah, absolutely.
That way they're kind of at the same step. So start everything over, but with Anthony.
Okay.
Anthony, do you have a character sheet?
I do have a character sheet. It is not filled in, but I can fill it in. I
Okay.
have a character,
Yeah, well-
my concept, and a backstory.
Perfect.
All right. Walk him through it, Eric.
Okay.
You're the boss.
So the first thing that I think that you should do is figure out your dice spread. Fabula Ultima doesn't roll ability scores like a traditional game. Instead, you have 4 abilities, and you get different dice that you're going to roll in situations when those abilities are called on. There are 3 ways you can go. Jack of all trades, which gives you a level D8, which is kind of like the median dice in this game. Gives you 4 of those to put in every one of them. There's an average, which gives you a single D10, 2 D8s, and a die 6. And then there's the specialized, which gives you 2 D10s and 2 D6. Now, Mama Tara went with Jack of all trades. I don't know which way you're going to go, but I do have a recommendation from a lot of stuff that I've read online. And that is, no matter what you do, I recommend not doing a D6 in your might die, because that is your hit points.
Oh, understood. Don't dump stat health.
That's the one thing I would say in the initial like stat mixture is don't dump stat might. Like, those are your hit points.
Okay.
I dumped Mike.
But that might actually work for this character. If it's you said it's a specialized.
Mhm.
I think with this Dark Knight kind of or Dark Blade kind of situation, I think I'd probably go might and willpower.
Okay.
And then I guess what the 6 is would be Dex and Insight.
Okay.
All
So
right, type those in.
Type those
I
in.
just roll.
Yeah,
I
put
just
them
roll those out.
No.
No, you don't roll them. They're just a D10 and D10 and D6 and D6.
Oh.
So anytime you try to do something in Fabula, say you want to climb a wall, you would pick 2 attributes to do that. In your case, you could probably pick might and might, and then you just roll 2 D10s to beat a target number. So you would pick 2 of your abilities, you roll those, you beat the target number. It's very simple. One of the simplest systems in the world.
I see. Okay, so those are in.
Okay. The next thing I would do is mark off your hit points and your mind points. These are going to change as you pick your classes and put those things in there for them. But your hit points is your total character level. So all characters start at level 5. Plus 5 times your character's might die. You put a 10 in might, you said?
Yes.
So that might die times... so 5 times 5 is 25 plus 5. I'm sorry, 5 times 10.
Is it 5 times?
5 times
Okay.
10 is
I was
50,
like,
plus 5 is 55. Wow.
It's okay. Math is hard for me too, Eric.
say we want to do my double check-in. I was like, I don't want to come on here and immediately start. I'm like,
Oh no!
And then
Your mind points
what
are the same
Yeah.
thing, but you use your willpower die instead.
they are the same.
Okay. Then
Leshy, don't you bring that spreadsheet witchery in here. Sorry.
God, I work off spreadsheets all day.
spreadsheets will just confuse me.
Oh God, no! I married a man who worships Mr. Sheety all day, every day. Spreadsheets.
I
Oh.
work out of Excel, and I'm so happy I'm not using Excel right now. Okay. The next thing I want you to
Is
mark.
that where?
Oh, sorry.
Is that where Tara was done? No, she did IP. So
She did IP. And then defenses. So we left off at defenses, which is the next one.
Mhm.
So your inventory points or IP is 6. Everybody starts with a base 6 there. What those are, they are your ability to pull out like healing potions, mana potions, magic tents, elemental bombs, things like that. The game doesn't really care about your inventory on a micro level. Like if you want a thing, you have the thing. So if it makes sense for your character to have rope, you have rope in your backpack.
Okay.
The game's just like, yeah, we don't really care about those things to micromanage, but we'll have a system for having healing potions and all of that.
Is this more of like, I guess not the amount, but like, if I was in a situation, like in a fight, and I needed to use a healing potion, would I like use points out of this IP?
yeah,
Yes.
you would spend an action to spend some of those points to pull out a healing potion.
So,
Okay.
so like we'll get when we get to the gameplay part, because we'll just do like a quick like tutorial combat thing, kind of like how every JRPG has a tutorial walking into town type situation. What you would do is you would say, hey, I'm low on health. I need to heal. I'm going to use a healing potion. So your action, you would spend 3 inventory points and you would use a healing potion as your action that round. And then the next person would go. When you get into town, whenever you're in any town, you can spend, I believe it's 10 times the number of inventory points you're missing to replenish your stock. So if you spend 3, you spend 30 zenny, and you now have all your inventory points back.
Okay. It's pretty easy to understand.
Oh, I love this game.
Welcome to the chat, Destructo the Penguin.
Oh my goodness. They're turning out for me tonight.
It is wonderful.
Next,
I believe that was where Tara was at, so you guys both
yes.
can go to the next step.
well, the next one was just defense. I think Tara's got her defense.
Yes.
Yes, defense and magic defense, both 8s.
Perfect. So, Anthony, your magic defense is your current insight die size. So whatever the maximum
So
number on
6.
that is. Yep. Okay. And then your defense is also a 6. Because you get a
Because of your
D6 there.
dex.
Yeah.
Are those anywhere, or do I just?
Yeah, so on the left-hand side, you'll see Fabula points, experience points. Right to the right of experience points, there's a little box that says initiative modifier defense, magic defense.
Yep, got it.
Okay.
Your initiative modifier is 0, by the
And
way.
we
I don't
are-
know if Tara, you got that either.
Ignore that,
there it is.
actually. Ignore initiative
Oh.
entirely. I'm going to get to that when we get to the how to play the game part of session 0. That's part of the old rule. They have an addendum with a much better and easier to use initiative system from the publisher. We're going to use that.
Fair enough.
I'm going to go through I'll go through all the optional rules we're going to use and everything, but yeah, you can ignore initiative for now. I would, on a piece of scratch paper, put down that you have 500 zenit at this point. That's the amount of money you have to spend on initial starting gear. So that's going to be weapons and armor. And then we're going to get to the point where it'll be helpful if you have copies of the books to have them handy, because we're going to do the character class parts of this. So when you're both ready, let me know.
Anthony, do you have a link to the book?
I do. I have it pulled up right now.
Perfect.
All right. Okay,
And
beautiful.
I'm ready.
I would have sent them over.
Page 176 is where it starts if you don't have it up. But Fabula Ultima requires you to multi-class. You cannot play a single class standalone, which will make sense as you're building your character. So you can have up to 3 character classes running at one point in time.
Minimum 2.
Minimum 2, but maximum 3.
And pick wisely, because you cannot take another class until you reach level 10 in one of those classes.
Only if you go with 3. So if you start with 2,
Yeah.
you can add a third class later. But if you start with 3, you need to max out one of those classes before swapping it out.
So we are starting with 2?
You start with 2 or 3. It's your choice.
Okay.
I'm gonna bounce back and forth on my screen. Anthony, you're on the left. Tara, you're on the right. So I'm gonna start with Anthony. What is the first class that you want to devote character levels to? So the way this works is, say, I heard you say Darkblade or earlier. So I'm gonna assume that's gonna be your first character class. You can put up to, if you choose, 4 levels into that, because you're going to have character levels and class levels. Every time you gain a character level, you devote that to one of your classes, and you choose an ability for that class.
Okay. So if I don't use all 4, I can split.
Right. You could say, hey, I want to put 2 in Darkblade, 1 in Arcanist, and so that's 3, and then 2 in Weapon Master, or however you want to split it up. But you can only put a maximum of 4 levels in a single class at this point, because you got to have at least 1 level in a second class.
Then maybe I do 3 and 1, but I don't know what other class I would put it in. Probably the Fury.
You're doing Darkblade?
Yeah.
Darkblade works well with Weapon Master or Fury. If you look at the two of them, they have I believe Fury has one that lets you take an additional attack. And then Weapon Master makes your weapons more powerful. So those would be 2 I would recommend, but you don't have to do that. I'm just shooting out a suggestion.
I did look at the Fury. The Fury or the Guardian.
Okay. So
Let's see.
Let's say you're going to go with Darkblade though, right?
Definitely,
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I would do right away is mark Darkblade on your character sheet, because you're going to get some free benefits that you can mark off on your sheet pretty quickly. And that's going to be, for Darkblade, a 5-point increase for hit points, and the ability to use melee martial and martial armor.
We have a mogul.
In case we need to save our game.
Moogle.
Oh,
It's Moogle.
melee and you said martial defense.
Yeah,
melee
so
martial
you can use martial melee weapons and martial armor.
armor.
You're one of those people that says chocobo is weird, aren't you, Steve?
Chocobos.
Chocobos are awesome.
You're
Yeah,
hurting
think
me.
about it. You had to think
What's wrong
about
with
it.
Chocobo?
God, Final Fantasy 16, they said chocobo, and I'm like, if I don't get to bite the head off of a chocolate bird next Easter, I'm gonna be very disappointed, Square.
So
I
I
mean,
have.
fair enough.
Oh, okay. I see all of these like slots for the character levels.
Hmm.
This
No.
classness level. So should I be typing in? I guess I'll just say Dark Blade, where it says class level, and then there's free benefits. It says,
Yes. And so,
and then skill information.
right. Now with the skill information, every level you devote to Darkblade will allow you to choose either one skill or for you to increase the level of a skill that you've already chosen. So,
Okay.
Agony, the very top skill. After you deal damage to one or more creatures, if you have a bond toward at least one of those creatures, you may recover SL, that stands for skill level, times 2 hit points, and skill level times 2 mind points. Across from the name Agony, you'll see like a star with a 5. That means you can take that skill up to 5 times.
Okay.
And each time you do that, you get better at that one particular skill. So if you're going to put 3 levels in the Darkblade, just as an example, you could put all 3 of those levels into Agony, or you could put 2 into Agony and then 1 into Darkblood, which is the one right below it. So it's all about how you want to split up your levels.
I would give a suggestion though that Eric didn't hear. Heart of Darkness is the only way you can get a bond with creatures. So you would have to take that in order for Agony to be useful.
No word.
So,
Yeah.
so if you didn't see that.
Yeah. I did have a question about the scenes that you'll probably get into. But that is that like a transitioning like into combat or like in and out of certain situations? Or...
Yeah, so a scene would, I think, is best thought of as like just like a scene in a TV show or a movie. There's no defined amount of time that a scene is. Like coming from D&D, you think of a combat round being 6 seconds all the time. In Fabula Ultima, a combat round could be 6 seconds or 6 minutes. So they go by scenes instead. So however long you're in a combat, that would be an entire scene. Or the time that you're in a room conversing with the king about your next job or somebody that you need to go rescue, that would be an entire scene. And when you leave that, and it's not even that room, but when you leave that set of circumstances is when the scene would change. So going from I'm talking, we're all having a meeting with like the war council, but you leave the war council room, but you're talking to the king or to a guard and you're just meandering around the castle. That could all be part of the same scene. But then combat starts. That would be a scene transition. And you would enter into a conflict scene.
That is really cool.
Yeah, I really want to get into it. So I really want to handle my stuff here. So I'll take 3 in Darkblade, figure out how to split this up.
Yep.
And I'll ask if I need anything, so you can help
Okay.
Mama Terra.
So I will bounce over to Terra. Okay.
Hi.
All right. Where are we at and what are we looking at class-wise?
Okay, this is going to be a little weird. What I'm trying to do is make something that functions not entirely like the Hollowsmith from Guild Wars 2 because I don't want a photon forge. I think that would be game breaking and it doesn't sound fun anyway. So I'm definitely going to go with Tinkerer and Guardian. I did post that super long character idea in chat. And I don't know if it came across clear, but I'm definitely looking at Tinkerer and Guardian. Elementalist is on the table, but also Weapon Master, and let me explain why. I want to main hand sword, offhand pistol.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does.
And when I say sword, I'm talking falchion, rapier, that kind of thing.
Okay, so here's a fun thing about the system. But this might actually influence your decisions. You are not tied to specific weapons based on the class that you have chosen. Your Tinkerer could use pistols, or it could use a staff, or it could use a 2-handed great axe. You
Okay.
are not bound by your class for your weapons. The way dual wielding works in this is a little different. I'll have to go refine the rule. But what you're doing
Okay.
is you are sacrificing some randomized potential to do more damage with a weapon for always doing a guaranteed amount of damage with the weapon. So, let me explain that real quick in better
So
terms.
basically, 2-weapon fighting. When you do damage with a weapon, you typically take the HR, which is your high roll of the 2 dice, as damage, plus a set amount of damage. So with a rapier, I believe it was like a +6. So it's high roll +6. If you do 2-weapon, you don't take the high roll for either. You just do the 6, and then whatever your pistol would be also. So you're
Okay.
just sacrificing that high roll, which could be a 10, or for in your case, an 8, or it could be a 1, but you're getting 2 shots that are guaranteed 6, which could total to more. That's how 2-weapon fighting works. I don't particularly like it, but I understand it.
That's fine. Would I be able to use a pistol at some point? I had said the caster from Outlaw Star is something that I was wanting to work on. Maybe shove magicite shards or whatever into a bullet and work that way. So that is something that I would like to see, but is not required. I would still like to stick to a sword, and if I don't do the pistol, like a grenade kit or something, or have the grenades be a part of Tinkerer. Whatever works.
Okay. Everything you said is completely 100% possible, even starting at the very beginning of the game.
Cool.
You can choose to take a pistol right now during character creation.
Okay.
As
Do I only get the one weapon, or
So you're going to have 500 zenit to spend on equipment.
Okay.
Pistol, I'll have to look up the cost of it. Oh, there it is. It's 250.
Pistol is 250.
Wow.
So it'll be half of your money.
The
And then
rapier is 200.
Buy it. Little on the edge. Buy it.
which will leave you a little bit
The
of money.
only problem is you won't. She can't afford any armor though. But
Who needs armor
we
when you
can
have
rectify
gun?
that.
I can just start
And
with
just
the
cast
sword.
gun.
It's fine.
Cast gun. Pretty sure that
I
will
mean,
alleviate your
We're probably
problem.
gonna earn Zenit really quick. So, and I also have armor that I don't. I have money. I bought armor. I could just give you my armor because I don't need it.
Okay, so there's also the initial savings that you'll have at the beginning of the game. And yeah, there's treasure chests and everything. Like this game plays a lot like a JRPG. So
Okay, let me explain really quick. It's okay if I don't get the pistol in the beginning because the point is that she's building it.
right.
She's designing it.
Well, and here's the other thing.
So
I don't want to interrupt you, but since you
No,
said
go.
Tinkerer, there is a way for your Tinkerer to go because you get to choose kind of like which path of tinkering you want to do as one of your skills. And I was going to recommend for the gadgets part that you look over into the Magitech, because one of the things that you can build with your advanced skills is going to be a Magitech cannon, which allows you to do different types of it can be a gun, it can be like a handgun or a rifle, however you want to format it and flavor it, but it's going to let you do that elemental damage with that as kind of like a created item.
That makes me very happy. I will be doing that.
And the elemental grenade thing, part of the inventory point system is the ability to pull out an elemental shard and throw it kind of like a firebomb or a lightning bomb or whatever. Think Shadow's lightning skeins, water skeins, fire skeins from Final Fantasy VI. You have an inventory point supply of those that you carry around with you already. So
That is perfect. That is perfect.
your
We will-
character concept is perfectly buildable. Perfectly buildable.
Yay! Fantastic. Okay, well, I'm definitely going to do the Magitech Tinker, and it's just the other two classes that are kind of up in the air at that point. I do think I want Guardian because she is former military, but Weapon Master, Elementalist, I don't know which one would be better, and I can always choose later.
Yeah, so
It's kind of one of those that last class is largely dependent on the story. Like, are we going to run into an evil empire? Is there how widely available is Magitech? Are there Magicite? That kind of thing. So if we want to pick that third class up later, I'm totally fine with that.
Okay. Because that's what we're going to figure out this session 02. Is there an evil empire? Where are they located? Who are the big threats? What are the world mysteries? You guys are going to build all of that, and then I'm going to work with that over the next 2 weeks to create the actual first set of adventures. And this game requires a lot more of the burden to be shifted to you guys when it comes to the storytelling than to me. Like, I'm more of a reactionary position that's crafting things from your desires rather than crafting this madhouse and dropping you guys in the middle of it.
This is exciting.
Yeah, it's the opposite of D&D and Pathfinder in that regard.
What does this guy think he is? Some type of genie getting ready to grant my desires?
Oh, there.
I-
The audacity. And then there's radio in the comments. I love you. I love you, Sib. Oh my god. All right.
So Tinker's
So I-
awesome. Okay, sorry. What was this
Oh,
saying?
no, don't apologize. It's okay. We're all nerds playing a tabletop RPG. It's understandable. It's okay. But yeah, I'm just gonna do the Tinkerer and the Guardian for right now, and then
Okay.
we can look at that third class later as the story goes.
Yep, you can add one in anytime you gain a level. You can decide to put it
Alright.
into your current ones, or you can just be like, nah, I want to take that third class now. And just, you don't need to have any justifications or nothing has to happen. You just devote your that level into that class when you do your level up.
Awesome. That is
All
actually that's fantastic for me.
What skills do you think you're gonna take?
Let me see. We're looking at. Are they listed in the classes?
They're listed in the classes.
Yeah, they're right under it.
So
So
Tinkerer is a little weird for your free benefits. Instead of getting more hit points or mind points, you're instead going to get a permanent increase to your inventory points by 2. So you're going to be able to use more potions, magic tents, throw more elemental bombs, that kind of thing.
I win.
And you're also going to be able to initiate projects. Projects are unique to the Tinkerer class. This is where you can devote your money and use your creativity to make things like airships, Magitech armor, golems, pretty much
That'd be a
anything-
whole menace.
Yeah, like, you can think of almost anything you want
That
to
was
build.
the most devilish look I've ever seen in my life. The way her face just contorted, that was devilish. Like, she's just like,
There are some sample projects in the book, but you're not limited to those in any way, shape, or form. We can create more of them. There's a handy dandy little table for, how wickedly powerful is this? What's the magnitude that it could affect? And that's just going to determine how much it's going to cost and how long it's going to take to build.
4 projects. I do want to get with you, Duality, because I do want the caster project, but there's also the Magitech armor interface that she built that is the reason she booked it
Okay.
from said evil empire or company or whatever we come up with. I want both of those things to be a project. One of them, however, the old one coming back out of the dusty notebook or whatever because she's on the run again and still trying to hide it, kind of thing.
Got it.
So if you want to get involved in that, make sure everybody's comfy. I would love that.
Yeah, we can do it in our group Discord channel if that works for you.
Works great for me. That way everybody can be
Anthony.
involved.
did you pick a second class yet?
So I'm definitely gonna do Darkblade and Fury, and I kind of want to do this dip into Guardian because I liked what Tara said about this military situation.
Mm-hmm.
I had when I read your backstory, I immediately started thinking about me being an type of like AWOL soldier after seeing some of this experimentation with some of this mech mind
Come with me.
control situation.
Get on board. Get on board with my story. Come on. Let's be. Hey, man, if you want to be a former bone eater or anybody who was in that massacre, bring it. We would immediately have a character interaction going on. And if you don't want to do that, tell me your story,
Well,
and we'll make it cool.
I do feel like there is a good opportunity there.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think it will be a good one. I don't think I don't think he will feel good about you being a tinkerer and possibly being the reason his comrades might have been.
The point of the bone eaters is that she was there. She was in the Magitech armor with them. So she's also a survivor. This isn't a she sent you guys out. This is something that she put in the mechs to test without them knowing, and that thing got them out alive. So if you wanted to be in the bone eaters, we would know each other. It's cool. We have pins. We have club pins. Just saying. But we can hash that out with everybody, or just you and me, whatever works.
Yeah. So
We're getting there.
I didn't know.
What if you were a survivor from the massacre that was not in the group and watched us walk by?
I
Field of
think
corpses,
something like
and
that could
then
work.
we're fine. And
I think something like that could work. Sorry, go ahead.
It would be an immediate point of contention, and we could be all like uncomfortable with each other, and then become drinking buddies. You know, will work.
So it was gonna be he was like unaware of what this like situation was. There's like a group of like new recruits that like came in. They are like being scheduled to like undergo these tests, and like they're figuring out their compatibilities. And I don't know how it was affecting their minds, but I know that something had happened to them and they needed me to like put them down. And so with that, I left and kind of just like reclused into this like small village and went AWOL. And then these people, like the guard, came into this village, not specifically looking for me, but just did shit to this town. Like, because of their actions, they came in. Some general with like some mech suit came in, decimated this town that I was not protecting, but the town was aware of me. I would come in and trade. Kids would come in. They hear about the giant man that lives in the forest. They bring me food. I would keep out monsters from the town. And then I come back and see that this general is like fucking this town, fucking this village. And I see the mech, and I go. So that makes me go a little berserk.
Eric, are you taking notes?
You're a genius. So what happened with Albel is, again, she made this machine. The Bone Eaters survived, and then she left and took everything with her. They wanted it. They didn't arrest her. They didn't realize that she didn't leave any other notes other than what she had. She took her machinery and her notes and booked it. They've been trying to replicate it. You got the aftermath of when they were trying to replicate the technology. They don't have her perfect technology. What do you think?
I like it. So you can.
I'm fine. I'm normal.
Yeah, I really wanted to like figure that kind of like timeline out.
So what I'm feeling is that,
like, how are we connected?
Look, man, I'm scared to find out how we're connected because I heard that we're going to form a mercenary group, and the last mercenary group I had any control over, the captain got ganked. Is it going to be me or you?
Like in the first 20 minutes, too.
Yeah, it wasn't even the first session wasn't even over, and he got ganked.
I mean, you did say we were playing Final Fantasy VI, right?
Away. Alphonse, beat it. Go.
Alphonse.
I don't know about you, but with a name like Atlas, I do bear the weight of the world. I'm the one getting ganked.
The big red one's Alphonse, and the little black and white one, that's Winry. So my nerd is showing.
So let's see. I've actually taken some notes on backstory and put them in a note chat.
Yeah, keep those notes. I'm gonna have to rewatch this recording throughout the week to do some stuff here as well. On this.
I did say I was gonna be a whole menace.
That's fine. Give me 2 seconds. Actually, 2 seconds.
My
Everybody out.
oh, Duality walked away, but it's alright. Oh, he's kicking the dogs out.
So with us, there's a potentiality because it's said that you were exploring. You left your family to seek out a new life. We weren't from the same area. You're from the forest of Artemis. I'm from the city of Amara. But we could have both ended up going out to seek adventure at the same time. Ended in with the Silver Lions together, and then after we had departed, that would be kind of where I find out the issue on my side, where somebody was basically scamming me while I was in the mercenary unit and stealing all the money I was sending home, even though the mother had died like a long time ago. In which case, I could always my character would end up coming back to the group to be like, "Hey, anybody want to join me on a manhunt? Do something similar to that."
Fox gun.
Okay. Yeah. I think my character just like he was a noble. He's like the fifth child of a noble elven family, and he's just like, I'm sick of being a noble. I'm good with a bow, and I'm good at like magic and nature stuff. I'm just gonna go do my own thing. Maybe I'll come home, maybe I won't. So my backstory is pretty simple. I just met
He's
you
got,
and
like-
started following you, and then somehow we got connected to these two, and it's like, hey, I'm just here, guys.
Well, you could also
Just
play it from
help.
the commoner versus noble perspective, because my guy was a commoner. He was doing everything that he could to send money home to keep the roof over people's head, just to find out that he went home to no roof and no family.
I think my character has learned a lot from you then, because my character probably in the back of his mind, I don't think he's ever told you, but he's like, if I ever need money, I can just go home.
So maybe that could be it. We, while working in the Silver Lions together, I had eventually left the Silver Lions, and maybe you had left with me, and we were going back to Amara because that was just so happened to be the closest city. At which point in time, all this kind of boiled down, and we ended up seeing that, like, oh, this giant scam had taken place, and there's somebody that's now out there with all the money that I had sent home, and who knows what had happened in that interim, if the mother died of illness or if she was like murdered and the money was taken. He doesn't really have a clue on it, because illness, I think, back here could probably also account to she was poisoned and taken out. And I can totally see Amara having like basically a common folk or a lesser class that is used to backstabbing each other to get up higher in the ranks, almost because they have to fight each other to eat. Due to almost probably due to nobles just pushing them down to try and keep in their class. But upon this, I would totally see us heading out into the world as a new adventuring group with new ideals on what we're planning on doing. You don't really want to leave the bow behind. And as for me, trying to find out the secrets behind what had ended up happening. As the money is now dried up, the person's probably going to start questing to close that loop, as it were.
Sounds good to me. Tara, the wheels were spinning. I saw it. What are you thinking?
You were talking about a lower class that's pushed down where there's ganking each other behind the scenes. A lot of gambling dens and red light districts do that. So if you have this super powerful noble class, you could have your lower class largely existing only within the confines of the red light district, the gambling, all of that.
Well, not only that, but my father's clan, the mercenaries that he went off with, are known as avarice. That's their name, which is just a synonym for greed. And he never came back home. So he could have gotten taken out by his own mercenary group, and then that mercenary group, seeing the father's prodigy growing up, just went back into that and started mercenarying the whole family and making this prodigal son work for them instead.
So really quick, Spike, you have unknowingly given us this awesome entry. That super powerful noble class, which would probably, I'm assuming, involve your merchants, your super powerful merchants. That is a fantastic basis for an evil empire. We can do a lot with that. What do you guys think? If we have that ruling noble class over however many kingdoms, continents, whatever is involved with whoever our BBEG is, whatever we want to do with that, that gives us a reason to have any town that we go to would have that sense of evil in it. But then we start working through the underground a little bit more, which I don't know about y'all, but fits my character pretty well. And then it gives us the opportunity to have on the side, your cities that are the free city of blank, where there's no nobility. There's your thieves' den over here, where we're stealing from the rich and giving to the poor. It gives us a reason to have returners, almost. Is that making sense?
Yeah.
I think it can also mesh with this person who rolled into this village, whether it be a general or some noble who has military under his control, or whatever it may be. I think
there's that, Anthony. It gives that sense of ownership. You're just the peasantry. You're not even gentry. It gives that really slimy, controlling feel that everybody loves so much.
I like it. If Tara and Anthony, if you guys are done with your characters, we can go to the next step and start making this on the map.
I got numbies down. If that's all we need is some numbies, we can go.
I do need to know if I'm filling this out correctly.
Well, I'll definitely take a look at it after we're done, after you got it filled. But let's see can you actually do this? Can you just share your screen real quick?
I actually cannot. I don't know if I don't have access to or the permissions to do so.
Oh, just on Discord, share your screen. Oh, because we're on a stage. Yeah.
Only admins can.
Only admins can.
That's me and you.
I could just.
There's no right or wrong way to completely fill it out. To be honest, as long as your information's where
I can just say, where
here.
is,
Let me share my character sheet real quick, and then if you have any questions, I'm gonna pop this up. Go live. Boom, boom. Our faces are probably gonna shift a little bit. Yep. But whoops, it's paused. Give me a second. So, yeah. So, right here, it's name, identity, whatnots. I just copied and pasted put the class and the level of the class. For 2 skills, that would be level 2. I didn't put it. Chimerist, I have 2 here. Wayfinder or Wayfarer, I have 1 here. I put what the benefits are, adjusted all this. I don't know exactly what questions you had, or if anything you're confused on. While I have the sheet up, just let me know.
Yeah, I had in those slots I had Darkblade, because I was like, okay, 1 level Darkblade, 2 level Darkblade, 3 level Darkblade, but I can just put it all in that in one thing.
I mean, if it's easier for you to put it in 3, go ahead. But later on, you're gonna have a lot of classes.
Right. I was like, I'm gonna run out of room here. What am I doing?
Yeah. Because I think you're only allowed to take up to level 5 or level 10 in a class, and then you're capped. But I could be wrong.
Nope, it's level 10, and then you're mastered. You take a mastery skill at level 10.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I'm taking 5 right now, right? Or
yes.
4. So
5.
I take 3 in Darkblade, maybe 1 Fury, probably 1 Guardian. That's probably what I'm gonna do.
Yep. Tara, did you have any questions before I shut this off?
No, well, go right ahead.
All right, beautiful.
No.
Now our faces should be back
They are
properly aligned.
I will.
Beautiful.
Since I'm doing mine hard copy, I will get this all written out and finished up, and then probably scan it or type it up and send it in. Probably, I would say tomorrow.
Totally cool.
If you just take a picture and post it, that's good enough for us.
Yeah,
that works.
Now there is something that you guys have to do for your characters that's really important, and that is you need to set up your theme, identity, and origin. Now, your origins you guys have been talking about here for a little bit. That would be something just like a quick one sentence, maybe like former Magitech Knight, former Thieves Guild member, ranger of whatever forest. That would be an example of an origin. Your identity. Well, actually, let's do. Let me pull this back because I want to get to the. Have those up in front of me because there's a list of them. So, your identity is like what your character sees themselves as. So I kind of reverse that. So that would be like your Magitech Knight, your Thieves Guild member. A theme. Now there's
for an example for identity, I put a ranger who left home to explore and see the world outside his forest.
Right.
Pretty simple.
A theme is going to be a central emotion for your character. Now, on page 158, there's a list of themes. I kind of want to stick with that because I feel like it covers like the wide gamut of what we're going to be looking at. So your theme could be ambition, anger, belonging, doubt, duty, guilt, hope, justice, mercy, or vengeance. If you have a different emotion that you want to insert in that place, it would be your character's central kind of emotional state. What motivates them the most?
I picked hope, if anybody wanted to know.
And
That's
then,
perfect.
and then your origin is where you came from. So that's going to be your city or continent, however you want to, where you are originally from. These do serve a mechanical purpose in the game. So there is a meta currency in this game called Fabula points. These will allow you to re-roll, just as an example, re-roll dice if you roll poorly and you want to have a chance at a better roll. You could spend a Fabula point and invoke your theme or your origin and re-roll one of those dice. Steve, you had your hand up?
No, I was saying we get 3 of those to start.
Yes, everybody starts the session off with 3 Fabula points. You look a little confused, Anthony. Or maybe I'm just bad at reading faces, because I am terrible at reading faces.
I was like doing like a fillable PDF with my character sheet, and it is no longer letting me do it. And it's like it just like now and it with Acrobat, and I'm like, oh fuck, I don't have Adobe.
Oh.
I would save it and then try reopening it.
It literally all of the things went away. All right, let me try.
Oh no!
It's
Oh no!
Well,
It's
as I said,
okay.
they just got their entire soul ripped out of a divine being. And
literally.
now-
If you saw, that is the face that I was given. Just like, why would you do this to me? I remember most. I'm pretty sure I remember most of the numbers, but I just have to figure out how to get this up now.
You could try opening it in like Edge or Chrome as well.
Yeah.
The prediction by Lee.
Where did? Do you have that link handy, Dragon?
For which one?
For the character sheet PDF.
It's in the
give me a
group
moment.
chat. It's pinned.
Pinned. All right.
I have it pinned in our Fabula Ultima Discord chat.
Oh, yes.
Okay, and just to make sure, so for like identity, I just put commoner mercenary. That's what we're looking for there.
Yep, that'll work for that. So you might run into a situation where being a commoner mercenary might benefit you, and when you want to re-roll something. So one of the ways you can spend Fabula points is to re-roll dice. So you can say, hey, look, that was a bad roll. I failed. I want to use a Fabula point and invoke my commoner mercenary identity to re-roll this test. And I think that works because you give me reason. if we both agree that that's a good reason, you deduct that Fabula point and you re-roll a die trying to succeed.
Gotcha.
Now, you can only do that once per one of those traits. So you could fail again and you'd be like, well, that's really bad. So I want to spend another Fabula point and try and re-roll again. Well, you can't use common or mercenary, but you might be able to go to your theme. So what was your theme?
Theme. Got like 12 tabs open, and I need more monitors. Ambition.
So you could say, all right, well, common or mercenary didn't work, but I'm a really ambitious person. There's no way I would let this other mercenary get ahead of me. It's impossible. I'm the best mercenary there is. I'm going to be the captain. So I'm going to invoke ambition. And you can spend another Fabula point and re-roll again. If you fail that, you could then fall back on your origin and be like, well, I know this town so well because it's my hometown. It's just the easiest example. So I'm going to spend a third Fabula point and use my origin to try one last time. So these are
right.
Also, Fabula points do reset at the beginning of a session. So it is good to use them because we also gain experience points based on their use.
Yes.
So like if what was it? You gain XP equal to Fabula points spent by the group divided by the number of player characters. So if we all spend all 3, we get 3 experience. So keep that in mind. They're not a resource that you can save session to session. So blowing through them actually helps us.
Yes.
I was always looking for a reason to be fabulous.
Yeah, do not hoard them. Now, there is the flip side, the Fabula points. While you have Fabula points to spend, I have Ultima points that I can spend for the villains. Now, Ultima points work a lot like the same way, but they also enable me to use something called escalation. Now, escalation, I think, would be a good way to use this. Would be, has everybody played Chrono Trigger?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so the fight with Lavos would be a great example of escalation and play it with Fabula Ultima. You start outside, you're fighting the shell and the mouth. You beat it. Oh hell, Lavos isn't dead yet. He's escalated. You go into the shell and you got the 2-armed thing hanging in the center. Yes, we beat that. That's awesome. No, fooled you. He's escalated again, and now you have the alien creature with the 2 pods. The good thing is they can only escalate from a minor to a major to a supreme menace, so there's only a possible of 3 forms. Escalations are supposed to be special. They're not just supposed to be like bargain basement brand Super Saiyans from Dragon Ball Super. So it's not something that's going to be used all the time, but it is something I do have access to. So there's a mirror.
But the thing is, we want him to use Ultima points because we get experience per Ultima point he uses.
Yeah.
Counter. I've got a Moogle.
All will be well. By the way, the pom-pom is the wrong color. It should be pink.
I know. Is it
Give
pink?
me a second. Paladin, can you come in here?
I thought it was supposed to be red.
I got you, boo. Hang on.
Mog always had a pink one. And that's my
Well, I
Moogle.
think
it was
my
red.
Google's on
Had
the,
a
on the
yellow
dresser. They can't see you. Go ahead.
Also
Can you grab it?
remembering red ones, but
Yeah,
Is that my
they're-
child screaming?
They're red in most, but I think in early in 5 and 9 they had
What?
yellow.
Let me be a picky person and just poke
I
fun.
already
Oh,
know.
there's the one he's used to.
that is the
Restart,
one.
reload.
More Moogle.
Very close.
This is the theater rhythm.
The Pikmin Moogle.
Yeah. Large boy.
All
We
right.
suspend him like this for torture.
Is it
Here, sad
torture?
Moogle. Sad Moogle.
I don't-
noises.
Listen. It could be torture. It could not be. I'm not here to kink shame.
All right,
Nick's never
Eric, continue
never
onward.
stopped.
Okay.
Session zeroing.
Session zeroing. So we're not going completely off topic. Okay. So we got the characters as made as like we can, I guess. We do need to pick gear and
You want
spend that
my
money.
lad. You need to be gentle.
I don't know.
Oh, Anthony,
Gentle.
You start with 500 Zenit,
Yes.
and you can use that to buy any gear that you want from the basic gear, which starts. Also, Tara, you can do that as well. I don't know why I'm just addressing one of you.
Yeah, page 166 is the start.
Yeah, 166. I explained this to Tara, I think, before you were back, Anthony, but the damage for a weapon, if you see on the far right, HR stands for the high roll. So looking at the iron hammer on page 167, you would roll your might and your might, which is for you 2d10s. Say you rolled a 6 and a 4. 6 would be your high roll plus that 6 additional. So you would do 12 damage.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like I get advantage +6.
Kind of. So
Well, no, you add
here. Hold on, Dragon.
You add the two together
Dragon.
for
Oh, I
your
do.
attack. So duality can explain it.
So you're accurate. The game's always calling for checks, and checks are rolling 2 dice. It's always 2 dice. An accuracy check is one of the few rolls that has defined dice that you're going to use. So, for example, to hit a target, you're going to roll that weapon's accuracy check, which is might plus might. Now, you're going to. I will say the creature you're trying to hit has a defense rating of 5. You're going to roll your 2 might dice. You're going to add those 2 numbers together. If it meets or exceeds 5, you have hit your target. And then to figure out damage, you look at those 2 dice and the high roll. So let's say one is a 7 and one is a 2. You would take that 7 and add whatever number is there in the damage formula. So
I'm not rolling. So I'm not rolling again for
Nope.
the damage.
No, it's one roll and then compare the number, the plus number, if one exists, to the high roll, and that's your damage. Combat in this system is supposed to be quick, and most encounters are designed to be resolved if they go to combat within 3 to 5 turns. This is not a slugfest like D&D. We're not going to do hour-long combat scenes. I don't.
Oh, thank God.
I can't do that.
I am a little.
I just can't.
A little worn out.
Yeah.
So
Combat for me, I like the 3 rounds, 4-round type thing, just because I think combat's important in a JRPG style game, but you never, even in those games, you want those to resolve quickly.
Yeah.
Normally you would grind levels.
Listening for the music.
Yeah, normally you grind levels, so it's like 1 round per character, and you're done with that combat, and then all right, time to move on to the next area. You can one-shot everything with each character. This, it's going to be 3 rounds, 4 rounds. That's my target. If it's not doing that, it's because I need to relook at what happened there and adjust for the next one.
Got it.
So spend your money as you will spend your money.
I'm gonna ask this just to be sure. It's okay if we buy a piece of armor and then reskin it to look like what we want it to look like, but it's still functionally that piece of armor?
Absolutely. You are the only thing that I want you to, concrete take for like it must be this when choosing your equipment is the cost and the accuracy and damage formula. But if you don't like it being called a great axe, you can call it whatever you want to call it. It can be a.
Oh, I'm looking at.
If
I'm looking at Brigandine right now.
Yeah, and if you want your armor to be like, if you say Brigandine, I'm not happy with Brigandine. I want it to be Mithril Chain or whatever. Cool, it's Mithril
I'm just
Chain.
Wearing a coat.
Yeah, there you go too. Like I just want it to be like an overcoat, like a leather trench coat. Cool, it's that. It's just the cost and the formula for it. That's the only thing that can't change. Reflavor to your heart's desires.
Now I'm seeing INS die and Dex die in regards to armor over here. Can I get a quick rundown on that?
All right, so let me go back to that page.
What page is that, Tara?
That's
I am
168.
looking at You're as good at this as my husband is. You got to memorize. We love to see it.
So this is how that figures out. So if we look at just no armor, it says Dex die and Insight die. Remember when we were setting up your initial defense and your magic defense back at the beginning?
Yes.
Okay. So if that's just for no armor, it's your Dex and your Insight. So that's where you're at right now for your defenses. If we go down to Brigadine, for example, it says defense 10. So one thing is that's martial armor. You took Guardian, so you can use that because Guardians are able to use martial equipment. Okay. Your defense now, your physical defense, that is no longer based on your dexterity. It is now just a static 10. So it's for your physical defense, your static 10. Insight, it's still the same from when we initially created the character. So it would be 8. Another example for you. Now, let's just move to one that's a little bit different. Like right above it, it says the Sage Robe, where it says Dex die +1. That would be D8, so 8, and then +1. So that's physical defense would be 9. And then the magic defense would be Insight die +2. For you, if you were to choose that, it would be 8 +2 would be 10. So your defenses are always based on dexterity and insight. That armor is just telling you if there's a bonus to it or if it replaces that die entirely with something else.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yep.
That's what session zeros are for.
Yep.
All right.
And do we need to save any of this Zenit, or you said we basically have a pack that has whatever we might realistically have? Are we buying like potions at this time as well?
Nope. Your inventory pack already comes fully stocked with all of that stuff. You can save money if you like. No matter what, you get an additional 2d6 times 10 that carries over with you from whatever you did not spend. You get an additional 2d6 times 10 to bring into the game as well. And Anthony, if you need anything, man, just be like, hey, Duality, Eric, I need you. Just don't feel bad to scream out at me.
I think I'm good. I'm just
okay.
I feel like I really liked the idea of this dual shield bearer.
I have seen that skinned in a number of different ways, and it's been pretty awesome.
So I'm thinking, just so I have a practical weapon, having maybe the iron hammer and just having 2 shields. My brain is just like, don't not get armor. What are you doing? But then I'm like, I could have 2 shields.
We could give you an awesome name. Like, we'll take the word battering ram and then turn it into some like weird portmanteau of your character's name. It'll be awesome. For instance, my frog paladin, they call him the Holy Railgun.
Oh God.
Yeah, boy Smite.
Jesus.
You could have an awesome name like that. I'm just saying.
Simply call him the Wall.
The Wall.
Absolutely.
Okay. There's
Wall
one
Maria
thing.
Ain't got shit on you.
There's one thing I do want to give out while people are looking at gear, because this is something that's very different from Fabula, from other games that we might be used to playing. All right, so Fabula Ultima doesn't care about tactics. It plays like a JRPG. You line up on one side, enemies are on the other. You move around thematically. You tell me what's going on with the movement. If you're going to run, do a backflip and, do a overhead slam with your hammer down on an enemy, cool. There are no special rolls beyond the attack roll to do that. Make it as flavorful as you want. The only tactical thing that Fabula Ultima actually cares about is the difference between melee and flying units. Grounded and flying. So grounded units can be hit by anything. Flying units cannot be struck by melee attacks. You need to have either a ranged weapon or a ranged ability or spell. Now, I'm not saying everybody has to load up on one ranged and one melee weapon or have skills to combat that. We got Steve, who's a sharpshooter, but it is something to be aware of if that matters to you, to be able to fill in different holes or be able to defend against. You can defend against flying targets without having a ranged weapon perfectly fine, but you're not going to be able to hit them with like a hammer. So that is something I did want to put out there, because that is very different.
As long as Eric doesn't make an encounter with 4 flying enemies, we should be okay.
But,
Don't worry.
Flying eyeballs just come raining out of the sky.
however,
You get the left.
However, this game also allows for objective-based combat. Being in a conflict scene doesn't necessarily mean you just have to swing your weapons until one side's out of hit points. You can say, hey, I have a plan to take down this flying dragon, so it's forced to stay on the ground. You tell me your plan. We then make a clock. And then we do those actions as your turns, and if you fill the clock in, you have grounded the giant or dragon. I'm sorry. So I have a flying enemy. All right, well, none of us can hit it, so we need to come up with a way to do this. We're going to taunt it into a enclosed space. So that'll be part 1. Then Spike's going to slam a door behind it so it can't get out. That's part 2. And then Steve's going to engage it in some kind of distracting combat by pegging it with arrows. That's step 3. And then step 4, Tara uses some gadget she made, like a magic net, to bind up its wings. There's step 4. So you did a 4-part clock. It's grounded. So you don't have to worry about that melee and ranged thing there anymore. You can just... The system has a lot of creative angles to play.
I'm gonna do this dual shield because it sounds fun.
It's really cool.
Go for it.
It's really cool.
Girl, play with me. Oh my god. I love Destructo. Sorry. She's an absolute dear. And she's another retro cosplayer, so she's really cool.
How did I pull pickle twice?
This is
I want a pickle.
I'm eating these sour punch things, and it's either watermelon, apple, lemon lime, or pickle.
I need an adult. Oh god, I am an adult. I'm fine.
You need a responsible adult.
There you go. Because it's not gonna be me.
I said I need an adult. For my
Did you
adult.
pull a pickle again? Did you? Go on.
Hey, yeah, well, sometimes things happen.
100.
All right, Eric, continue on, buddy.
Okay. I think the next part we should do before we get to the actual map part of this is determine what kind of group are you guys. So Fabula Ultima takes you meet in a tavern and now you have to decide why you're going to adventure with each other part out of existence. It puts it on you guys before we even start the game. You are already a group. Now, you could be a group that's brought together by fate, guardians, heroes of the resistance, or revolutionaries or seekers. And then there's examples of things that would, have made you one of those groups. Like for guardians, during a ceremony before your departure, a dark force suddenly reveals itself. The life of the chosen one is in danger. That you're the guardians of that person. So heroes of the resistance, you were the last hope of a town or village, but unfortunately the enemy is overwhelming you. So what kind of group are you guys?
I think we all declared already that we're revolutionary.
I think we did.
It sounds like
I'm pretty confident that's what everybody has already said without saying it.
I think we walked in with our middle fingers in the air and said, "Bring it."
we're accidental resistance, but some of us don't know it yet.
Right? I feel like it's a mix of seeking and revolution.
I just wanted to hear it out loud.
Me having been pulled out of a garage and told, "No, you're not allowed to be just a steam engine engineer anymore. We know what you can do." All right. I'll be the angry cat in the cage.
You're You need to come outside.
No, I don't. I like my garage, okay? Do you see this? I've been working on this for 20 years. Yes, I know I'm 30 years old. That's not the point.
That would
Her
be the
name
one
is
who
Frederick.
breaks. That would be the one who
Frederick
breaks
is
the
leaking,
garage.
and I'm sure the gas is poisonous.
Oh, it definitely is. Can't you tell by the insanity?
And then the green hair has gone blonde. Yes, I see this.
I'm glad you
outside.
I'm pretty sure that gas killed a lot of my squad mates, so I would be breaking that garage. Probably.
I'm not
after you
apologizing.
come out. It's just how science
Oh,
goes.
beautiful.
All right, so revolutionaries it is. Now, when you say meeting in a tavern, are you talking like 1990s chat room RP tavern, or are we coming in with a purpose?
Oh God, that's right. You're old enough to probably remember the AOL ride-in chat rooms.
I think the only one here who's
Sweetheart,
not that is Anthony.
I
know
married the
who,
love of my
but was
life
not
because of a
able to
text-based
participate.
roleplay chat room. I've been doing this since '97. That's how I got into the nerddom.
Oh man.
I just know a lot of people that I've not met a lot of people that make reference to those over the years. And one of the things I used to do all the time, AOL had the it was called Ride-In. It was all these user-based role-play chat rooms that were just like the dark corner of AOL. It was just like nerds doing all kinds of weird role-playing, from your standard high fantasy stuff to here's the pet shop of the thing where somebody's role-playing a pet dragon that you can then, who will follow you around to the other chat rooms and be your pet dragon. Like, wow. Okay. Anyway.
I got into this at the same time I was playing ROMs, baby. You're in good company. I hung out in the Cherry Hill tea room way too much.
I pulled 2 pickles at the same time.
I got to tell you about this bartending job I had back in the day when we end this stream.
Oh no!
How about that pickles?
The next part.
I don't like that. I don't like a double pickle situation.
Focus.
In a bar.
Focus, everybody.
It's starting to sound like you could be running part of the red light district. Shall we role play that?
No, we're good.
Okay. So, we got pretty much all of that set. I think the important thing next would be for you guys to grab your tokens on that map, place them where you want your hometown to be. I only have 3 things on the map, and let me explain what those 3 things are. These are things that I always bring into pretty much all of my tabletop role-playing games. This map is totally not to scale, so don't worry about that too much. But we have the Kingdom of Colligan. That is just something that I use in all my games, and yes, I shamelessly kind of ripped that off from Final Fantasy VI. But that is your pretty stereotypical Final Fantasy IX style of high fantasy kingdom. Everything looks pretty good on the outside. It looks pretty nice and cheery and clean, but there is that underden of corruption and stuff that flows in the underworld. But that's kind of like your standard high fantasy kingdom. There is Crescent Harbor. Crescent Harbor is my version of Mos Eisley in kind of like the Irish Plains. It's a port town that has all the amenities that you would find in a seafaring community. And then there's Grieg's Abbey. Grieg's Abbey is run by the churchwarden Grieg, who is a fire elementalist who takes in orphans and people who cannot take care of themselves. He's kind of the bleeding heart who is also very gruff and cynical. But those are the only 3 things that I have placed on the map and what they are. So you can place whatever you want, wherever you want. As far as your hometowns go, I just need to know what their names are and just like a little blurb about them. If you can send that to me in the Discord chat at some point in time. But with the map marked, I can put that actually on the map in Wonder Draft and build around it. I kind of want to know what the environment is around it. Is it desert? Is it forest? Is it a farming community? Is it a big city? The more information
And
you
did
give
you
me, the better.
say Did you say we could be from a different continent?
You could be from a different continent, and if you go to the top, and you can't see it because you guys all said world map wasn't working for everybody. Pull, 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 pull. Okay. So this is just a rough world map. We can totally change this up. This is just something I had designed. They're based off of the tri-state area because I was incredibly lazy when designing the map. But you could be from a different continent. You can be from anywhere.
That's so amazing.
I'm gonna leave mine where it were. That is the Dark Forest Artemis. I will think of a name for my people's or my parents' like
There we go.
king or like domain.
I'll take that fog off. I had the fog going to give it kind of like a cloudy thing, but
All right, I got mine placed right on the table.
Yeah, I like the idea of
Man, I am way away from everybody.
I like the idea of a bunch of orphans being sent off to war, essentially.
Do we want the evil empire to be overseas, like on a different continent?
I could totally see the evil empire being on this continent, three of us not really knowing about it off the bat, and then it pushes us off this continent into another one.
True.
The idea of us having to come back to this continent to reclaim our homelands.
So then I'm going to. So is Cullingen going to be the evil empire?
Although also having somebody who's not on the same homeland as us and migrated over to Jersey, and then when we get pushed off, they're like, hey, good news. I know my city's still okay. We can go there and shack up for a bit. Also kind of gives us a landing pad.
Yeah, I'm down for it being like Beluv or what is this, Snarlzheim? Being off continent.
Yeah.
Is it the three of us? The boys on Jersey.
My concept here is I have no problems creating another continent, or whatever we need to do to give us that landing pad or more space to explore, because I have some landmass names that I'm always working with, and I do want her to be not like from super out of the way secretive area, but one of those places that people don't usually go without specific reason, like a collegiate city, something like that. And how and then she came to join this evil empire on, I guess, right out of college or whatever. So we can do that if you guys want me to create something or whatever.
I like that. I think Penn State is what I'm looking at when I'm looking at Beluv, right?
Oh, I was.
Or if you want to do a whole different landmass, but
Yeah, I was just gonna give us a whole secondary landmass, like or quaternary at that point, but an additional landmass that we could, I don't know, it could even just be like an island, like a large boreal island, something up north that we can like turn into our base of operations, or whatever. I'm fine.
and something that you like. You'd be like, I know this place. Follow
Basic
me.
concept. Let me just hash it out to you. We're looking at either kingdom or continent of Celeria, region being Dandrio, and then she is specifically from a place called Shepherd's Deep, which is like a collegium town. There is nobility there. She is from a lesser noble house. Got fast tracked essentially through the collegium. She's that skilled. She's that talented, and then basically bought on with the evil empire military, having no idea what was going on because she's not from here. So that's
I'm
like
down.
just a starter concept if anybody wants to run with that, or if anybody else has an idea they want to go with instead, let me know.
That sounds good to me.
I'm in.
All right, cool. I'm fun. I'm good having a crazy passport. I'm not from here. All right, so we'll go ahead and have her be from Shepherd's Deep, which will make that a boreal island, and Duality, place that wherever you like.
I was gonna say, you tell me where you want it.
I am not on the world map. I left because derp.
Alright, hold on.
And I am having trouble scrolling around this map. It's driving me crazy. Hang on.
Scrolling around at the speed of sound.
Okay, let's go with something. Let's see, that's Jersey over there. Let's go something for over here, a good continent away. So I'll have Snarlheim in between
So
Jersey
somewhere.
and.
Here we go. Create actor.
I'm sorry, this thing is giving me hell. There we go.
Somewhere around here.
Yes, maybe just there. Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. Up there near the compass rose. More boreal, so we're looking at a slightly more mountainous island, something like Iceland. Something up in there.
Something
Definitely like an
Iceland.
engineering collegium kind of thing. Like this is oh man, she's from Shepherd's Deep. Wasn't that where all the smart people are? Yeah, but like big deal.
Okay. I just put that in on our group chat, so I have a reminder. Now, yeah, I just need one more screen. See if I can find that other monitor.
You can probably hear Jillian freaking out. She's fine. There's just a door between her and Mom.
Bless you to whoever sneezes.
Bless you.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then you guys are pretty good where you're posted up. Did I hear that right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Place their towns here. All right, so over the next week, if you guys could give me a bit of a rundown of your hometowns that you have, as far as, like I said, how big they are, what the common trade item is, as much information about these hometowns, home cities as you can. Like the environment around them. Is it a lot of forest? Is it mountainous, rivers, that kind of thing? I'll fill out the map, this blank map version of it, and we will have that there. Trying to think what else we need to go through on this before I just do a simple, like, let's go through the rules of the game and the optional rules that I'm going to be using. Length of a travel day. I think we can come back to that. So the Fabula Ultima does something called a travel day, more so than it does like miles. It's a very abstract system. And why a travel day is important is that determines your random encounter chance. So once per travel day, a random encounter would be rolled, and then it would be compared to that number to see if the random encounter happened.
That is something my character works with. I have the treasure hunter feat from the Wayfarer. So travel is very important to my character.
So what do we want to do for travel day? We could keep it simple and use the grid here and say boxes are a travel day. Each box is 1 day. Or 2 boxes is a day. What do you guys want to do?
I'm thinking 2.
Okay.
2. Yeah.
2? Okay.
4 hours a box. It shrinks the landmass a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and it becomes more realistic about crossing it.
Okay.
Just slightly more, not too bad, but enough to feel doable.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say I felt like a 1 box, so I'm like, I don't know if we're gonna make it through.
Yeah, well, I mean that would be like a very
Wherever we're
traditional.
going.
That would be like a D&D traditional hex crawl. But I'm thinking, yeah, anywhere like 2 to 3 boxes would be kind of what I'm initially thinking myself. But I'm completely open to what
I
you guys
think
want
2 works.
2 works. All right. So I will make this grid more opaque, and every 2 boxes of travel that's done, we would do a check, and if that check says random encounter, then there is a random encounter. Otherwise,
Sounds good to me.
there is no random encounter. Configure grid. Save changes. Huh, that really didn't darken it up all that much at all. I can do that in Wonder Draft. That's easy. Easy to work with. Okay, I can darken it up in Wonder Draft. All right.
Beautiful.
So we're going to get that stuff from you guys for world building, as far as, your backgrounds, your cities, the towns where you're from. We got the travel day. We got what your revolutionary thing is. All right, next part. I heard Evil Empire, and we're thinking Colligan is going to be that Evil Empire.
Either that or I've been struck by the most hack name of all for Evil Empires, something called Volcanum.
Okay.
It's very hack, but it works every time. Colligan sounds a lot less aggressive. Now that can be
Sounds like
it can
really
be
no
boon
brain.
or curse, Will we feel silly for fighting the evil empire of Colligan, or is this going to be a sleeper cell that nobody was ready for?
All right. They were the ones that no one respected, and they were like, "Whoa, Colligan!"
So
Excuse me?
They were doing what in the dungeon?
now what I could do is change that name out and make that Volcanum if that's what you all want, or we could leave that there and we could place Volcanum somewhere else on the map.
I'm gonna say I
And
like
it's-
an
Feel free
idea
to
of
change the name.
I
I like
added
the
the
idea
name
of an external
Voltrum just in
thing.
case.
I'm sorry, Anthony, what were you saying?
I like the idea of like an external, like some like we are like finding out about these places, like these different like the kingdom of Colligan, the other ones on the world map, but some like shadow government behind the scenes that we're finding out, and like these people can all be like connected, but there could be someone behind the scenes that may not be at the forefront of everything.
Oh shit.
Bye, buddy.
Miss you.
God, I gotta love when that happens.
What happened?
I have no idea. It just
He said, "Ooh,
Discord just
kicks
was
the
like,
ad."
"I'll see you
Like,
later." Yeah.
Oh,
peace
well.
out.
Discord just
Did
yeeted
you
me.
hear what Anthony was saying?
I heard a bit of it, like discovering different kingdoms and external, and then Discord kind of did a blinky thing on me.
So, more or less, Anthony, what you're saying is like all of these kingdoms that are already on the map are secretly working for some larger entity.
Yeah, basically.
I like that idea.
Okay.
Like a corrupt alliance kind of thing.
Puppet
It could,
state.
yeah, some alliance.
And then there's some
It
puppet
could be a
master.
facade. It could be a facade of like kingdoms and conflicts, while some people and maybe some upper echelons are doing
Please?
secret dealings.
Please build me a world-ending cult behind the scenes. I need that from you. I feel like you'd be like, you've got an idea forming there. Your shadow, your secret shadow society that's just like, bro, we're gonna make these two kingdoms fight and then sell them the weapons.
It would also give credence to a bunch of mercenary forces popping up. They would be popping up to push back rebelling armies just to find out that all these pushbacks are the 3 islands fighting each other so that the main superpower has an easier time coming in and taking control, because they're not fighting by using armies at all. They've already got insurgents inside of the capitals, basically working from the inside to destroy the government when they're all tired of these wars.
I love that. And that's our sleeper cell.
There we go.
I posted the name Volstrom in
Let me see.
video chat in case we want another evil name.
Okay, so I'm kind of like getting this. Did anybody play Final Fantasy 14?
No.
So there was this group in there called the Asians, and they were basically manipulating all of the other city-states and the external empire themselves for their own purpose, and nobody really knew what that was until expansions of the game later. But they were kind of like this shadow force behind even what everybody thought was the big bad guy. Is that
Sounds like the Mersat from Guild Wars.
Yes. God, I haven't played Guild Wars in a long time. I miss Guild
Same.
Wars.
The second one is so good. Man, Guild Wars 2. Oh,
Okay.
I live for it. A friend.
I find myself in the woods cutting trees in Guild Wars 2.
I wish I still had my Guild Wars 1
That's me and
information.
Biora.
Okay. So like a shadow government manipulating other governments. Okay. Making notes.
But what if we, in addition to that, while we're talking about this Mersat ASEAN thing going on, what if we had one figure behind the scenes, kind of like the Emperor from Final Fantasy II? Love it or hate it, the game had a great villain.
It did.
What if we did something like that?
I mean, we need a central figure.
Yeah, so we have this one guy who's manipulating back and forth all of these kingdoms happening, and then he's sending out his own people to bring about his own purpose. We're having layers within layers within layers. Ogres are like onions. To have this final BBEG that if we follow these arcs all the way through, like we were talking in the chat about having multi arcs in the story, that guy could be the final.
Until I pull a Final Fantasy like staple and be like, fooled you, he wasn't the big bad guy at all.
Who the heck is Zero Miss?
But that's what I feel like these like other kingdoms can be. Like we get to like the king of like whoever, and we're just like, God, finally. It's just like, psych, he wasn't even the puppet master. Now you gotta go find his threads and what's and wherever. And then you're just like, God, this wasn't even his final form. What the fuck?
And then I can even do that whole this isn't his final form through escalations.
That would be excellent.
Okay.
That would be amazing.
I love running session zeros for this already better than like a traditional game.
I do feel like, I would say, with the extra like
so.
collaboration,
Yeah.
I think you get more ideas.
The first time I played, I was with Radio and Paladin, and Radio and I had so much fun designing this world, and it was also kind of like Magitech Empire, but the Empire had fallen, and it just gets better from here.
Yeah.
It just gets better and better.
Oh man.
Okay. So I think I got a good chunk of stuff here. I got this video, obviously, that I can go back and rewatch for all this as well, but I've got my notes on the side. Is there any other world building things that you guys want to talk about, inject, have me work on?
Yes.
Okay.
Back on the topic of Final Fantasy VI, there is, of course, the Esper and the Magicite thing.
Yes.
What is our level of magic? Are we dealing with summon monsters, Espers, all of that? What do we want to...
Okay.
How do we want to hash this out?
All right. So, magic is going to be present, prevalent, and known. I'm not going to have it be some secret thing because that's just kind of a pain, especially with the game set up like this and all the different abilities. I ran a one shot where I was like, you don't have magic until like you have magic, and it was fun. People enjoyed it, but it was kind of cumbersome. So magic's going to be known, prevalent, and around. I don't think I'm going to go with the whole like definitive magical school type thing. Like if you guys want that, that can be things that you inject into the game yourself. But I'm not going to have a lot of like, all like the traditional Final Fantasy thing, since it's just easy to go with. There's not just the black mages, the white mages, the red mages. There might be like an order of spellcasters in a kingdom, and that order might be unique to that kingdom, or they might be well known throughout the world, or it might just be a handful of people. Espers. I like Espers. They are this game has the Arcanist or Summoner class with the Arcanums. So yeah, they're there. They're not going to they don't function exactly like a summon from Final Fantasy, but close enough. What you're doing is you find this spirit that is an aspect of something. You do a trial, you bind your soul to it, and then you can call it in battle. There is a merge ability. That's basically like where you kind of wear this thing like a spiritual suit of armor, and you get benefits for it. Whether it's resistance to damage or the ability to inflict a certain type of damage. And then they have a
Shaman King. Shaman King has entered the chat.
Yes.
Good.
And then there's a dismiss ability that most of them have as well. And this would be more like your Final Fantasy thing, like, hey, Titans show up, do your damage, and get the hell out of here. So you can merge with your Arcanum, have all the benefits for the scene, and then say, okay, well, I'm tired of being merged with it, but it's the Arcanum of Frost. So I'm going to tell it to get out of here. I'm going to willingly dismiss it, so it's going to do a massive amount of ice damage on its way out. So show up, fight with me, give me my cold resistance. Okay, I don't need the cold resistance anymore. Do your frost attack, get out, and then I can summon another one or summon it fresh. So that's already present. Magicite. The game doesn't have a need for it, I don't think, with the way that it's set up for Magic. Like, you just pick a class, add it to your class roster, take the abilities and take the spells. It's very much like just you gain those abilities. And the way the Arcanums work, there's not like you have to defeat the Arcanum and then equip its Magicite for a period of time, and to use it, you just kind of make your pact with it. So I don't think Magicite really is something that'll be part of it.
That's going to give me so much more wiggle room and fun when working with the caster.
Okay, perfect.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, check out the Arcanist. Check out the Arcanist class. It's the first one in the class section.
Yep, I just made a note on it. I'm going to move over one of my bookmarks. Check this out here. Woohoo. Flying back really quick to an earlier statement, like about the magic schools. Rogue wizard guilds and rich bitch noble run magic schools. Anybody? Tearing down the establishment? Yeah.
Love that. I love that a lot. I really want to build some magic, some rogue spellcasters. I have a mid game. It's a rogue druid, but it's not I want like a wizard. I want like a wizardy rogue.
I'm here for this. Well, you could
eventually. I'm gonna be able to steal magic from monsters.
Hey.
World dungeons that just enter the world by random generation, and you have to go in to get some really cool shit that's in there and try and pull it back out. All the while, the dungeon is acting like a Mad Max trap room trying to kill you in return.
There's just some guy walking by, pushing Titan, the Arcanum, in front of him, and he's carrying like 5 treasure chests. I know you don't want to do it, but we need to leave.
I'm glad we finally managed to kill the mimic. What's inside? Opens it up, only organs.
So there is.
I was just gonna say the whole dungeon. It's just a mimic.
So Radio just said Magitech Blue Mage, and yes, what I would do to create that character would be to go with the Chimerist and the Tinkerer and a little bit of Elementalist as the 3 classes to do that. Elementalist for your traditional kind of like elemental magic, Tinkerer to make your Magitech items, and then the Chimerist allows you to learn spells that monsters have from the plant, beast, and one other category that I'm drawing a blank on now. I think elemental.
Yeah.
But yeah, you learn creature abilities with that. So yeah, you could totally make a Magitech Blue Mage.
The most fun one for Chimerist is the Feral Speech. You can communicate with beast, monster, and plants, and those are the spells you can steal from as well.
The last game that I ran for this on one shot, we had a guy who made friends with a spider named Scrambles, the death dealer that he met in a cranberry bog.
Oh my
Yep.
God.
Oh, that was so fun.
Escalated quickly.
Yeah, I have feral speech, by the way, so my character will be talking to animals a lot.
I might bring Scrambles back.
I'm gonna be so uncomfortable watching you chitter at a squirrel and be like, well, I've seen weirder, but
No. I will talk to the squirrel like Kronk does.
thank
Squeaky,
you.
squeak, 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 squeak.
Squeak.
Okay.
Squeak on.
I actually didn't know I needed that in my life. That's amazing.
He says you took it.
I'm gonna build a camera to film just that. Cameras don't exist, but it does now.
Right. So
Man.
any other world building things we want to touch on today that anybody has sticking out, or do you guys want to move over to just general system how-to information?
I'm good if y'all want to move on.
I say I'm good to go.
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, anything else.
Kind of.
Later.
I think in that vein, just with some class questions.
Yeah.
Some of my skills give me more health. Can I add that in now?
Yes.
Should I okay.
Absolutely. So if you have any skills that give you more health, also check all of your free abilities that you get just for selecting the class as well. Each class gives you 2 free abilities. The Tinkerer, for instance, gives you projects and inventory points. The Dark Knight gives you the ability to wear martial armor and use weapons in addition to hit points. Those do stack. So if you, like, for instance, you said you took Guardian, where it says you get another +5, stack that on top of that. So...
That's it. That's it for me.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to go through just kind of like a basic how to play the game, on also how to use the Foundry at the same time. So our screens are going to kind of like weird looking. I know it's going to cut people's cameras off at the moment. I apologize for that. For people who are watching, cameras are going to get a little messed up, but hey, I just threw some dice. Nope, Dragon threw some dice.
Sure did.
And I just tossed some dice. Okay. So, let's start with Fabula Ultima as a system. Fabula Ultima is a rules lighter system. What that means is it's very simple. There's not a lot of punch to it. All checks, when they're called for, are going to be you pick 2 different dice for the check, and they are rolled. Now, some checks have definitive, hard, this is what you're going to use, and this is, so you have to use those dice. Accuracy checks are like that. Those are your 2 hit. So for the weapon, they'll tell you which 2 dice to roll. Other checks are going to be a little bit more open. I brought you guys all to the main screen This is going to be really helpful and handy for you guys. But for instance, down in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a list of suggested checks where it says move silently, hiding, and acting unnoticed. The suggested check is dexterity plus dexterity. And we'll compare that to a target difficulty level. That could be 7, 10, 13, or 16. Now, I'm going to play with an optional rule, and players really like this optional rule the last 2 times that I used it. I've only run this system twice, by the way. But this optional rule is a 50-50 split. So when I call for a check, I'm going to give you 1 die that I want you to roll. I'm going to say, hey, you guys are going to climb a wall. That is going to entail you using your might. Might represents your physical strength. And then I'll ask you, what other die do you want to use and why? So this will give you more opportunities to be successful when a roll is called for. I don't want to be punishing in this game. Like, this isn't a grindhouse, gritty realism type of game. You know, there is supposed to be tension. There is supposed to be difficulty. But at the same time, the system's not there to, like, push that in your face. Like, it's supposed to be a little more lighthearted as far as the rules go. Not very punishing. So when I say, hey, I want you want to climb that wall, I want you to roll might. Well, Tara might say, hey, I'm going to use my dexterity because I'm going to go from handhold to handhold from my training back when I was working in the Army, when I was trying to make all my Magitech stuff. And then say, Anthony, because you're playing a Darkblade, you have some of that and Guardian in your character build. You might say, well, I'm just going to use might plus might because I got 2 10-sided dice in might. Steve might say, hey, I'm going to climb that wall, but I'm going to use my insight because I'm going to take some time to study the proper way that I'm going to take before I even start climbing to find the easy way up. You can all approach the same situation differently with a different explanation. And we'll let you roll different dice based on that. Does that make sense? And does that sound good?
Works for me.
Okay.
I like
I'm
that
good with it.
All right. Because the other option is I just tell you what 2 dice to roll every time. And I don't feel like that's very collaborative.
Well,
I
like
would
this
agree with
version
that.
better.
Okay.
I like
Yeah.
your version better.
All right.
I like when people's skills are really put to the forefront, allowing them to do stuff.
Let us use our imaginations.
Mm-hmm. Which, since you said skills, brings me to that. There are no skills in Fabula Ultima. You're just going to, if you want to call for a roll, like, hey, I want to do this, what kind of roll would that be? We're just going to have to figure that out at that point in time. You might already have a good idea of, hey, Eric, I want to run down this alleyway and kind of parkour up to the top of a building. Can I roll might plus dexterity for that? And I will probably say, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Let's do that. But if you're like, I want to do that, but I want to roll insight and insight, I might be like, hey, that doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. So let's go ahead and do dexterity and insight. Or I just don't get how insight's going to work in this. Explain that to me. And if you make a good case, we'll go with it. But you're going to kind of have to come up with your skills as you go along because the game doesn't have any of them built in. Like, there's no lock picking, there's no move silently, there's no riding horses. It's just, you kind of have to let me know how you're looking to do these things.
Cool. And you said there's no personal vehicles, so it is, are we talking horses, chocobos, elephants?
So no
What?
cars or motorcycles. We can't use chocobos because those things are copyrighted, but we can have legally distinct riding birds if people want riding birds, or we can come up with another kind of standardized riding creature for this world.
Dinosaur.
Raptors.
There will be like steamships, Magitech ships, airships. How rare do you want those airships to be? Do you want them to be commonplace, flying from city to city, or do you want them to be something that is like special and rare, and there's only maybe a handful out there, or maybe only like the one military power has it, like in Final Fantasy IV? Airships are known, there's quite a few of them, but Baron is the only country that has them. Or do you want them to be all over the place?
I would say, let me put this to you guys, rare. Otherwise, the rest of Steam technology, Steam ships, Steam powered wagons, anything like that, loses a lot of its capability if everybody can just fly everywhere. And the more prevalent as something like an airship is, the lower the prices are to get a ticket.
I was gonna say having
It
them,
should
if
be
they're common, being expensive to use.
ruling class up there for the nobility thing. But you could have airship stowaways at that point.
Also, if you have them as commonplace, anybody can get their hands on one. It kind of trivializes the need to walk or run anywhere, and you lose a lot of fun on ground movement and random encounters.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go with
I
rare-ish. Like they exist, but there's not like a ton of them. Is that what I'm kind of getting?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they can be accessed, but it's either going to cost a lot of money, or you got to find someone, or some maybe just exclusive.
Major military powers, super rich entities, and continent-to-continent travel.
So it's like
or
kind of
just get ready for a joyride and hotwire one, and boom, you have your own airship.
so it's kind of a big deal if the airship that's owned by the merchant shows up in town with their wares. Like that's something people look forward to. It's not just like, oh, it's Tuesday, they're here for their drop off. It's like, oh,
I love that idea.
Okay.
There's that image of a bunch of children in the town square looking up to watch it land.
Okay, so like, oh crap, the Windjammer's here. This thing hasn't been here for months. I wonder what they got this time.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay. So there we go. And that'll also go into our travel day type stuff that we'll worry about, because you're in an airship. There's no need for the travel day.
Could have airship to airship battles.
Ooh, that's totally doable. Okay. Next part of this that I want to go through is inventory, because there have been a couple questions so far about inventory. Inventory points, if you look in the center near the bottom, you'll see item, IP cost, and effect. These are the items that you can use your inventory points to pull out of your bag. Everybody has a magical backpack. This thing will function kind of like a backpack of holding from D&D. It just has all your stuff in it. We're not going to worry about encumbrance or anything like that, but you're not going to shove a canoe in your backpack. Unless it's a collapsible canoe that was built through a project. That'd be completely
I was like, you don't know my life.
That would be completely different. But
somebody with the canoe.
But this will go into the whole, I'm low on hit points, I'm low on magic points, I have slow casted on me. You would be able to look at this and say on your turn, hey, I'm going to use an elixir. So you would deduct 3 inventory points from your total and use that, and you would recover 50 mind points. A remedy does 50 hit points. A tonic removes a single status effect. An elemental shard is kind of like an elemental bomb. This will let you throw something and it does either air, lightning, earth, fire, or ice damage. 10 points flat. No need to roll for an attack. Nothing like that. You just pull out the shard, do whatever you do with it, and it goes kaboom. And then you have, for 4 points, your magic tent. You only need to use 1 tent as a group. So only one of you needs to use the tent, and it functions just like a tent in Final Fantasy or a shelter in Chrono Trigger. You get all of your hit points and all of your magic points back, and it erases your status effects. Recharging inventory is pretty simple. You go to a town, you find a shop, you spend 10 zenith for every inventory point that you spent that you want to recharge. So if you spent 4 points for a magic tent, It'll cost you 40 Zenit in order to get that money back, those inventory points back. Going up the list from there, straight above, you have something called critical success and then opportunities. So the way criticals work in this game is different from a lot of other ones. You don't do double damage when you get a critical. When you get a critical, you get to enjoy an opportunity. A critical happens when you roll the number 6 or higher on both dice on any check. So double 6s, double 7s, all the way up to a double, whatever the highest dice is that you have. If that happens, you get to apply the effects of an opportunity on a target or just to yourself. So one of the opportunities could be advantage, where you gain a +4 bonus, or an ally of yours that you say at the time you got that critical. Let's say Anthony scores a critical. They could take a +4 bonus to their next skill check, or they could give that +4 bonus to Spike for their for their next skill check. Anthony could also say, well, I want my target that I just got that critical on to take on the shaken status effect, which would reduce that target's willpower die by 1 size. So if they have a die 10, it would reduce it to a die 8. This would reduce that target's defense for magic attacks. Status effects play a pretty big role in this game as you go on to the higher levels, and they're pretty debilitating at the beginning levels as well. So this page here is always going to be available for you guys. Hopefully it's something that within the next week I can figure out a way for you just to navigate around to all of the scenes without needing me to pull you to scene. But you'll always, and my goal is for you always to be able to get back to this screen to reference it. It has a lot of the really easy and necessary rules for the system. You got your status effects on the top left-hand side. Fabula points. This is a comprehensive list of all of the things that you can do to spend Fabula points on. One of the really neat ones is spend a Fabula point to alter the story. Add an existing element or add a new element. This is where you get to be really creative when you spend your Fabula point. An example of that we had in the last game that I ran. The party had encountered a group of bandits, and they were trying to bluff their way out of getting into combat with them. So one of the party members used a Fabula point to alter the story. And they created a rival group of bandits that I did not create and put in the game. They just came up with it on the fly, who they were and what their relationship was toward the ones that were giving them a hard time at the moment. And this allowed them to make another roll for an intimidation check to avoid combat. It was successful. They rolled high on that.
It was very successful.
Yeah, it was pretty neat. You can also add a bond strength to a check. So bonds, we're going to talk about bonds in just a moment. But you could also invoke a trait, or you could use a skill that requires a Fabula point. There's not too many skills that require Fabula points. You'll see those in your character skills if you take one that has that requirement. They tend to be rare, and they tend to be pretty powerful if they require a Fabula point. Player characters start with 3 Fabula points. If a player character has no Fabula points at the start of a session, you automatically get 1. Whenever a player rolls a fumble on a check, they immediately receive a Fabula point. Whenever a villain is different from an enemy. A villain would be like Kefka from Final Fantasy VI, but his Magitech soldiers that follow him into battle would not be villains. Those would just be NPCs or critters. But when a villain makes an entrance into a scene, the player characters will get a Fabula point right away as well. If a player character reaches 0 hit points, they have a couple options. If they decide to surrender, you get a Fabula point. You get 2 Fabula points, I'm sorry. When a player character invokes bonds or traits to automatically fail a check, you can get a Fabula point. There will be situations where you might want to just automatically fail a check. It could be like, hey, I have a bond of hatred to this target. Therefore, there's no way I could cooperate with them. So I'm just going to automatically fail that check because of that. You would get a Fabula point for that.
Okay.
Which I think will go to bonds next. There are 6 bonds that you can have toward another character. These could be toward the players or toward NPCs. The Dark Blades have kind of a special relationship with bonds, with one of their skills where they can just automatically create one based on conditions. But for the most part, when you rest, you're going to be able to assign a bond. Those bond emotions are going to be admiration, inferiority. Those two are paired together. So what that means is, let's say Steve and Spike are going to have bonds together. Spike is going to have a bond of admiration for Steve's character. They cannot at that point in time also have a bond of inferiority. They can only have admiration or inferiority. They could, however, have admiration and loyalty, or admiration and affection. Each of you will only ever be able to have a total of 6 bonds. And so you can have them spread out between a lot of different things, like one emotion toward single characters, or you can have them grouped up to only 1 or 2 characters. It's all about how you're going to decide them. Mm-hmm.
You said that he can't have admiration and inferiority. That would only be to that character, correct?
Correct.
Like he can have inferiority to someone else while he has admiration to me, but he just can't have both towards me.
Correct.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify.
So Spike could have admiration toward you and inferiority toward Anthony.
Okay.
It's like, whatever. Don't say that. You're gonna mess up Sunday. He's gonna straight up kill me.
But he also could not have 2 bonds of admiration either. He can only have 1 bond of admiration to anything and anyone.
Okay. Okay, so he can never have admiration twice, just...
Correct.
Okay.
You only get to put those... Right. It's 1 admiration, 1 inferiority. They can't be on the same target. 1 loyalty, 1 mistrust, 1 affection, 1 hatred. And on the bottom left hand of the screen, it shows you which bonds are paired up with each other.
That is interesting.
So you can have one or the other on each target, and you can have each one of those assigned 1 time. Now, what bonds will do for you, you can invoke your bond using a Fabula point. Now, each one of those bonds gives you a +1 to your check. So invoking a trait allows you to re-roll a die. Invoking a bond gives you a flat bonus. So sometimes, if you have a bond to something, it would make more sense, or it might be more beneficial to just invoke your bond for a +1 or +2 for a guaranteed success, rather than invoke a trait for a chance of success. But you have to have a bond to something in order to invoke it.
And do you lose it when you invoke it?
You do not. Bonds stay on where they are until you decide to move them.
Okay.
Now, to create a bond...
at a rest.
Right. So during a rest scene, so whether you're in the wilderness, you're using a magic tent, or you're at an inn, there are some things that you can do during a rest scene. 3 things. You can create a bond towards someone or something at that point. So nobody's starting with any bonds at the beginning of the game. On your first rest scene, you'll have the option to create a bond. Then on different rest scenes, you can either create more bonds, or You can add a new emotion to a bond. So let's say on rest scene 1, Anthony, you create a bond of affection toward Spike. That's your rest scene action. The next rest scene, you could choose to either add another emotion to Spike and say add loyalty, or you could assign a different bond, that bond of loyalty toward Tara. And that
one per
yes, one bond action, either a new bond or add one to to somebody per rest, or you can erase a bond or replace it during that rest scene as well. So you can say, hey, I no longer feel admiration for Steve because he did something stupid that I don't like. So on this rest scene, I'm going to erase that bond of admiration towards Steve.
Damn it, Steve, how could you?
Could I then replace?
I'm sorry, guys.
Is erasing
I didn't mean to.
I'm sorry?
Is erasing the whole action, or could I reassign something?
You could reassign something as well. So you could say, you know what? I had admiration for Steve. He did something really just goofy that I did not like, and it really ticked me off. So on this rest scene, I'm going to get rid of admiration, and because I have not placed it yet, I'm going to place a bond of mistrust with him now.
Trust me, I'm not mistrustworthy. I'm awesome. I promise.
I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy.
The first thing said by somebody who's mistrustworthy.
I don't know about y'all, but I'm going to trust the person making bombs.
I will at least not get on their bad side.
There you
go. The next thing, I talked about it briefly, but initiative. Okay, so we're not going to use the initiative that's in the book. Just wholesale ignore it when you're reading the book. Just, it doesn't exist. Any mentions of initiative, ignore. Here's how we're going to handle initiative. The player characters, so combat's very loosey-goosey in Fabula Ultima. Initiative goes in one of two ways. If you're fighting just normal critters, normal NPCs, a player character will go first, then an NPC, then a player character, then an NPC, and it'll trade back and forth until everybody has had a turn. The game does not care what order you take your turns in. So every round that you do, you can trade your spot in the initiative order. Now, so let's say you're fighting a construct and Spike goes first. Everybody goes except for, God, did anybody take like elementalist or magic stuff beside like actual spell casting?
I did.
You did?
I took elementalist.
What's your spell?
I got Soaring Strike, and I've got magic weapons.
Okay. Do any of them do elemental damage?
Magic weapons can do elemental damage. They can do air, bolt, earth, fire, ice, depending on what I put on my sword.
Perfect.
Or spear.
Okay. So this will work really well. Let's say you guys get into a combat. Well, it goes player character, NPC, player character. And we'll say Spike is the absolute last person to go that round. But they used magic weapon, and they did some damage, and you find out, oh, hell, this thing has a vulnerability to whatever element Spike just chose. So he did double damage. You could say at the beginning of the next turn, Spike, go first. Let's try and knock this thing out right away. Just go first. You can trade your order off. All you have to do is agree as a group to do that.
I love that. Yeah. I remember years ago talking with a group of mine. We're like, God, fucking initiative sucks. Because we'd be able to really talk with each other, like in a real scenario.
It's like, I'm so sorry, you've all gone deaf in the middle of a combat. You can't yell at each other.
On that as well, the game doesn't care about distance. You know, it just assumes that you could get to your target to do the thing. So, like, if you're 500 yards away, that's fine. Part of the cool thing will be you describing how you get to the target to do the attack, not okay, how many rounds it's going to take for me to get to the target to do the thing. It's just, make it sound cool. Like, I don't care. You do you to get to where you want to be.
An anecdote to add to that. I once got points in a game where we had the bear druid, yes, bear folk druid, pick up the poison dart frog paladin and fire him like a rubber band. Recommend.
I love when
The sillier, the better.
People. I love when people are throwing people.
Right? Yeet!
Scrib, get in there.
Pick him up and just yeet him across the battlefield. It's like that meme of French parents throwing their kids over the school fence.
Oh.
Yeah, get in there.
I thought you were gonna say just hitting a motherfucker with another motherfucker.
I mean, gold, but my range is listed as I'm a dragoon.
Oh,
great.
man.
Oh.
Okay. So there are the status effects in the top left-hand corner. These are pretty much your status effects that you're going to run into. The two that are not listed there are resistance and vulnerability. Resistance means the target takes half damage. So if something is resistant to fire, it takes half damage from fire sources, unless that fire source says that it ignores resistances. The spell Flare, for instance, specifically states that it ignores resistance. So it would do full damage. But Ignis, which is just regular old fire, it would be affected by the resistance. Vulnerability just means it does double damage. So if you're fighting a construct that is weak to bolt damage, every time you hit it with a lightning spell, it'll take double damage. So that means that combats might feel like, hey, why'd you have us fight this? This was stupid easy. Well, you guys figured out the vulnerability and just did a really good job. Or I didn't know you had an ability that was one of the creature's vulnerabilities. So what I thought was going to take 3 rounds took 1 action. So the game can get pretty swingy in that regard. So please be kind if that happens.
It's shocking grasp, but it's just a toy hand buzzer.
Yeah, but that robot is so weak to bolt.
He's so dead.
Yeah, it's like, God, that normally would have done like 2 points of damage. What happened? Yeah, it was a robot. Oh.
It's like real life.
You actually just fried it.
It's like real life matchmaking.
Just fried it, sir. You just hit
Kindling.
Kindling.
I won 3 fights. Why am I in the platinum tier?
Okay.
Because you chose Protoss. Anyway.
Moving through combat, to attack a target, whether it's with a spell or with a weapon, you use your accuracy check. That is the 2 dice next to the weapon. So, for instance, a hammer might be might plus might. Then you're going to roll those 2 dice. You're going to total the tabletop here will total those dice up together for you. And if you meet or exceed the defense rating of the monster, you hit it. You look at the high roll and you add whatever number is next to that in order to do damage. So just a quick example. A steel dagger is dexterity plus insight plus 1. So you would roll your we're just going to use Tara's here because she's a jack of all trades and makes this very easy for numbers. She would roll for a steel dagger a die 8, and she would add 1 to that result. So if she rolled a 4 and a 5, that's 9. Add 1, that's a 10. If that scores a hit, she would take the 5. That would be her high roll. The steel dagger does high roll plus 4 physical damage. So 5 plus 4, 9 damage. Next action. Let me know if I lose you or if you guys need better explanations.
No, it's working good so far.
Perfect.
I got you.
Reaching 0 hit points. There are no resurrections in Fabula Ultima. If you reach 0 hit points, you have a couple options. You could sacrifice. So when a player character is reduced to 0 hit points, you may give your life in order to accomplish a seemingly impossible deed, such as putting an end to a centuries-old curse, temporarily taking away a demigod's powers, holding off a small army through like crazy fighting skills. But you may only do a sacrifice if 2 of the following things are true. You're fighting a villain. The sacrifice would benefit a character that you have a bond towards, or you believe the sacrifice would make the world a better place. The other option is surrendering. Characters who surrender fall unconscious and become unable to act for the remainder of the scene, even if the hit points are restored to above 0. A game master cannot kill a character who has hit 0 hit points. So you've surrendered. If you surrender, I cannot kill you. You've surrendered. Player characters who surrender immediately will get 2 Fabula points. At the beginning of the next scene, the character regains consciousness and goes into crisis. Crisis is half your total hit points. For some classes, that's important depending on abilities that they have. And it might affect certain spells or abilities that hit you as players as well. So it's a good thing to know what the half of your hit point total is. You will also gain a consequence for surrendering. This could be your theme changing to anger, doubt, guilt, or vengeance. The enemy might make a decisive move, or you might lose faith and approval of an important person or a group. You might lose a really like precious item like an artifact or your favorite weapon or an accessory. You might have one of your bonds erased and replaced with a different bond. This would be one of the not good ones. So like a good bond might be replaced with its opposite. So loyalty to mistrust, admiration to inferiority, affection to hatred. And that's if somebody has a bond toward you. Your bond to them wouldn't change. Theirs to you would. You can actually have, Spike could have a bond of affection toward an NPC who has a bond of hatred toward him. So that is possible. Or you might get separated from your group if you surrender. So taken prisoner. Player characters might also just, you just die. So it's up to you which one of those you want to do.
Quick question.
Yes.
Is anytime you hit below, is it below half or half and below?
It's half and below you go into crisis.
So that's any time. It's not
Yes.
just going unconscious and regaining consciousness.
Correct. That's any time you go into half. And there are some builds. I think Steve made one with the last game that actually centered around him wanting to be in crisis.
Yeah, the last character I made for the one shot, when I was in crisis, I got like 2 extra attacks with the way I built. So I was a lot more dangerous when I got into crisis. So I was begging to get hit.
Yeah. I was only asking because of Heart of Darkness. It's the thing that lets me make a bond towards something if I don't have one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure.
God, what was I going to say? What was the next one I was going to do? So yeah, those are your 2 options as player characters. You either get to sacrifice yourself or you surrender. I guess mechanically speaking, you can think of it as like in Final Fantasy or Chrono Trigger. It would be Chrono Trigger. You get knocked out in fight, your character goes to 0, but when the fight like ends, they're back up with 1 hit point. So, game kind of follows that video game logic there. That's the hit points. That's the initiative. You got your actions on your right-hand side. Those are all the different things you can do with your combat turn or just turn in general. You can make an attack, change your equipment, guard somebody, hinder somebody, use an inventory item. Objective. So not all conflict scenes require combat, and not all combat scenes have to be nothing but combat. So that example I gave earlier, you're fighting a flying dragon, but you can't all hit it because it's flying. Some of you could create an objective to ground the dragon. You tell me the steps that you're going to take. We figure out how complex the clock is going to be, just how many actions that is going to be for complexity. And then you could work toward that objective rather than attacking. You can cast a spell. You could study a monster. This lets you get the hit points. What is it? You can get the maximum hit points, the maximum mana points, its overall rank. That's kind of like its level, and its species. Different traits, basic attacks, spells that it has. It all depends on what you get out of that insight plus insight check. You cannot pass actions if you are the only one left to act. So you can say, hey, I'm going to skip my turn for now. But when you get to the end of the turn, you have to make an action. It has to be something. You have to do something. You can't just skip all actions for the entirety of a turn. You got to do something. Even if it's just study, change your equipment, you got to do something. So that is kind of like a hard rule that it has. That's really just kind of like the basics of what we'll need to start playing. I know we're gonna have to go through that again, like in the actual first session when we do this. My first sessions, I always try to do just a really basic, let's do some dice rolling. Let's do a couple do a skill check for everybody, and let's do a quick combat, and then let's do some role playing and set up for the game moving forward. So we're gonna go through and we're gonna do these dice rolls when we get to session 1. That's for sure. Then we have the tabletop. So I might make battle maps, and these are just going to be to be background images like you would see in a JRPG. Don't think of them as you need to use them tactically. That's something I ran into with a cyborg game that I ran recently, where it didn't really need the maps to function in combat. I mainly just had it there as something fun to look at and interact with. I'll probably do something more simplistic for this than that and create some battle scenes, like a forest battle scene, a nighttime, a beach, a cave, the standard, these are the terrain type things. These are just going to be there for you to look at. So please don't think you have to move your tokens around to be all tactical. It's there to be pretty and look at. Using this tabletop, I have one mod in here, and that is this dice tray. Basically, just click on the dice. Each single click will add 1 dice to that roll, and you hit the roll button, and it'll toss the dice for you.
So, where is that mod?
Are you it should just be on. Okay, so on the top right hand side of the screen, you should see a bunch of different icons. The one with the chat bubbles.
All right. I see. Awesome.
Yep. And then down at the bottom, you just click on the different dice and hit roll.
Good.
They do disappear off the screen pretty quickly, so you're just going to need to see what the high roll was, take note of it real quick. I'm going to mess around with it a little bit more to see if I can have it separated out on the side and still do the math.
If you click on the dice you rolled, the 1d10, it separates them. If you click on the 2d10 that weighs them. Yeah.
It has a log of
Like
all
the 2D.
rolls.
Yeah.
And it will you have the keep highest option, keep lowest option.
Okay.
All right.
Perfect. We're not going to worry about any of the other tabs in here except for the one that looks like a book. It says journal. I know I can just click this button, hit create journal entry. I don't know if you guys can. Can somebody check that?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
I'm going to mess around with that and see if I can get that working. Because if I can get that working, that'll be a good place for you guys just to type notes and just have them present for you in this game. But that's really then all we have to worry about is this chat thing with the dice. And that's the virtual tabletop.
Day 43. We spent another night in the tent, and Lanius keeps farting. Why? Why does Lanius keep farting?
Elbel has decided to sleep outside and will not make us a portable electric fan, no matter how much we beg.
Okay. So that's really all I got for you guys on session 0. We got the characters created. We got a clip of world building information for me to work with here to create the game now. Because honestly, this game has so much of that burden shifted. And it's changed. Like, I don't have to write anything pre-go. Like, I get all that information from you guys session 0. Is there anything you guys need from me before I say let's wrap it? And we'll keep chatting throughout the weeks because we got 2 weeks before the next, before session 1.
Yeah, that will be session 1 will be the 8th. Is that a problem for anyone? The 8th of July.
Should be a good.
I'm
Let
good.
me check my calendar for us really quick.
I've adjusted my my working schedule for all the games that I play in.
Yeah, I don't really have. My nighttime stuff is Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Okay. Beautiful.
I'm wide open for it.
Perfect.
Sweet.
So before I close out, is there any questions, comments, concerns before we get rolling?
One quick thing.
Yeah.
Is SL, I think, was the acronym.
Skill level.
Skill level.
Skill level.
Yep.
Okay.
That's how many times you've taken a skill in your class.
Or how many times you're able to take that skill in general. Some skills, they'll have a star next to that skill in the book. And if it says, if it's a star 3, that means you could take that skill up to 3 times. If it's a star 10, you can take that skill up to 10 times. So some elementalists
If there's
might
no
just take 10 levels of spells. Other ones might take, 3 levels of that and other levels of something else.
I had it's like painful lesson. I can add skill level, or I gain bonuses equal to skill levels. I can recover, I guess, hit points equal to like skill level times like 2 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But you can only take that skill up to 3 times. Now, right above it, you see Heart of Darkness. There's no star and no number.
The book. No, in Heart of Darkness, yes.
Yeah, Heart of Darkness, it doesn't have a star, it doesn't have a number. That means you can only take that ability 1 time. So once you unlock it, you have it. There are no levels to that ability.
Okay, I did want to know that for like Shield Bearer doesn't have a thing, Protect doesn't have a thing, so those are just one base type things.
Shield Bearer. Yes. So like once you have Shield Bearer, you have Shield Bearer. But if you look at the Twin Shields extra information, it deals extra damage equal to your skill level in defensive mastery. So dual Shield Bearer and defensive mastery will synergize together to make defensive mastery makes Shield Bearer more effective.
Right. So I'll probably need to shift a skill around. This is just me thinking out loud.
Okay.
Because I took that because I'm taking a level in Guardian, so maybe I'll do 2 levels in Guardian so I can get some of this defensive mastery. To put with the shield bearer, because I don't think right now. I'll I'll see if the Heart of Darkness makes sense right now, or
Okay.
if one of these other Dark Blade things make sense.
And I'm available practically, well, not practically. I'm available every day after 3 p.m. Pacific time. I have zero anything going on after work. I just hang out at the house with the dogs, which I need to bring back inside. They've been suspiciously quiet.
Oh no.
Which means they might be digging. Husky and Malamute. So much fun.
Yep.
Wanna wrap it up and sign us out, and then we can
Yep, that's where I was at. I was
deal with that stuff.
just seeing if anybody had anything they needed from me, or questions, comments, concerns. No, Anthony, none.
If I come up with some, I'll message the chat.
Cool.
I'll throw it in there.
Awesome. Then I am going to go ahead, sign us out for tonight, and go deal with my GM imposter syndrome for the next couple hours before I go to bed. And then also work on some world building stuff until I pass out.
I mean, if it makes you feel better, you get to come to Tuesday game and deal with my GM imposter syndrome while I run you guys through a mirror match and somebody else through their worst nightmare.
Yeah, and I continue to taunt the entire group of people with my Roger Smith style antics.
Oh no!
Who knows? Who knows what your mirror form will have?
Everybody's
Oh,
upset at me
speaking of
right
that-
now because I called them pets. But that's been a fun episode of Ronin's Den. We're going to have this Fabula Ultima game running every 2 weeks for the foreseeable future. I got the idea to run this as a 3-act, 5 sessions per act is my overall kind of starting idea. But we'll adjust from there.
We'll adjust that.
Yeah, we'll definitely be adjusting that. But yeah, awesome. Thank you everybody for showing up. It's been great meeting you, Tara and Anthony. Spike, as always, it's awesome, and I will see you tomorrow for game. Steve, we'll talk all week, and we'll be recording our, I believe it's Grimwood, or did he change the name officially to Ironbound?
Ironbound on Saturday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. We were doing the Winry's whimsical one-shot. We were playing the Ironbound system created by Grimwood Games.
Awesome
Nice.
sauce. Awesome.
Cool.
Hey guys, we got a
All
fabulous
right.
game up.
It's gonna be great.
All right.
I'm
Okay.
excited.
Catch everybody later.
All right. Bye. It was nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you.